Zhu Daren's divine form was wiped out and his health fell to 0. Zhu Daren's divine form was wiped out and his health fell to 0. The system sounded out, causing Long Fei to listen carefully. He did not continue attacking Zhu Yuan. He knew that Zhu Yuan would not be able to escape from his grasp. Tan De Pao, the crazy wolf, had already caught up. So don't worry. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhu Daoren for obtaining 180,000 experience, 130,000 true spiritual value, and 1 universal value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 4 Cs and 8 Desolations Palm. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heavenly Mystery Stone. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Fate Stone. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Overlord's Divine Source. Congratulations, player. The system beep continued to ring. Long Fei did not check the stats of these items, but looking at them, he felt that they were only normal divine equipment. There was nothing special about them. But the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient suddenly said, "Everyone is here." "What is it?" Long Fei slightly moved, thinking that the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient had discovered an incredible treasure. He immediately asked, "What's all of them?" The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral revealed an excited face and said, "We have gathered the materials for the dragon armor." "Huh?" Long Fei was startled. "So it's all here?" "It can't be. Nothing dropped. Your body is so big. So how could you possibly have all these things?" How big was the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient's body? To create a set of dragon armor, he would need at least 100,000 mountains worth of ingredients. Just how many items did he get from killing Zhu Daoren? The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral said, "My dragon armor does not require as many materials as you think they are. Furthermore, when your space ring has more than one type of material, I would silently collect them. I have also collected a few of the special materials I obtained from killing the powerhouse. It's enough for the Destiny Profound Stone and Destiny Stone to be dropped just now. Now, it's your turn to forge it." The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral's words shocked Long Fei a little. However, it was mostly excitement. Because he was finally able to complete this mission, and what kind of scene would it be when the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor wore the dragon armor? Standing on the dragon head to roam the wild universe, how domineering was that? Long Fei said, "All right, I will create it for you tonight. I haven't used the making technique in a long time. I can make a few more sets of battle gear this time." Long Fei muttered in his heart. At this time, the system beep had not broken. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Sky Saint level 1, boom. A stream of extremely strong heavenly saint force gushed into his body and exploded in his mind and consciousness. His limbs and bones were all transforming, becoming extremely powerful. The feeling of leveling up is really good. The feeling of becoming stronger is really great. Long Fei sighed with emotion. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for breaking through the god's holy state and obtaining a special reward from the system. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining an S-Class reward. Reward Magic Power X5. Magic Power? Long Fei looked at the system's S-Class reward, his heart secretly shook, and instantly checked the Magic Power's attributes. Item, Magic Power, Consumption, Quantity, 5 drops. Description. Possessing the Magic Power can be used in pills, weapons, formations, and can also be fused into cultivation techniques. Note: can only be used 5 times. Amazing. How magical is it? Can you get thicker and bigger? Long Fei was evil for a moment, but he did not need that. Since it's an S-Class reward, then the effects will be good. It just happens to be useful to create dragon armor for the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient. Hey. Long Fei calculated secretly. It was also at this time. Suddenly, the sky exploded. An explosion resounded through the 9 heavens. Rumble. The sky above Saints Hill exploded, followed by Tan De Pao, and the crazy wolf's bodies fell from the sky. It fell down like a kite with its string cut. Cannon. Owner of Beast Hill. Everyone was shocked by the sudden turn of events. Long Fei also stopped thinking, and asked with doubt in his heart, "What's going on?" The devil in Zhu Yuan's heart has been suppressed. His current cultivation is only at the god's holy state and is also heavily injured. Let alone an overlord realm crazy wolf, even Tan Dapao can completely suppress him. Immediately, Long Fei shouted, "Ice and fire!" Bing Hua's eyes flashed, and she instantly flew out. Hula! The pair of wings held the two of them, and with a turn of his body, he landed on the ground. Su Su immediately released 2 Cure S Wang. 2 Cure S. The two of them took the opportunity to spew out a large mouthful of black blood. Their complexions were pale as they looked at the sky, and their pupils contracted slightly. Tan Dapao struggled to answer. "Boss, there is an even stronger person." The crazy wolf said, "Seize sect leader, that blood monk." As soon as the words left their mouths, black blood gushed out from their mouths. Their injuries were severe. Su Su kept releasing the cure. If it wasn't for Su Su, the two of them would have already lost their lives. Qin Shuang lifted the clothes on Tan Dapao's chest, and saw the palm imprint that had sunk into his chest, which was densely packed with black bugs moving about on it. It continued to corrode Tan Dapao's body. This palm technique was incomparably evil. Long Fei took a step forward, his eyebrows tightened, and said, "The thing that's impossible, seize sect master, that large monk was killed by me, it's impossible that he's still alive." He had clearly exploded. The system even sounded out a notification sound. There could be no error. Right at this moment, "Woo-ha-ha! Ah, ha, ha!" An incomparably arrogant laughter exploded in the sky. A person wearing a monastic robe with a ball of black mist circling around his body, and the power exuding from his entire body was no longer at the first level of the Overlord level. "Kid, you didn't expect this, right?" "Ha ha ha." Long Fei's eyes darkened. "It's really you." If he did not personally witness it, Long Fei would not have believed it. But the blood monk floated in the air with Zhu Yuan standing behind him. Zhu Yuan also sneered with pride. "Long Fei, you think you can kill me? Ha ha ha." In the next life. He was extremely proud. Suddenly, Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, and rushed into the sky with a single step. "I could have killed you last time, but this time." Without waiting for Long Fei to soar into the sky, the power of the black mist on Blood Monk's body came crashing down. "Just you wait." Boom. A series of crushing blows. Long Fei's body fiercely sank, and directly fell to the ground. This pressure. So powerful. Even if it was an ordinary pressure that was unable to crush Long Fei, the pressure exuded from his body was completely different from that of an ordinary Overlord stronger man. It was also at this time. Black and White and the old devil said at the same time, "What a familiar aura." At the same time. The two of them looked at each other, then their eyes suddenly turned sinister as they said at the same time, "Demons from other realms." What happened to the former ancient world? What happened to the former ancient world? As long as they were Black and White, the old devil's group of ancient worlds people would know. The loopholes in the plane were incomplete, leading to the invasion of foreign lands. At that time, it could only be described with one word: dark and gloomy. Every day, they would fight to the death, with one person standing guard over a region, blocking the entrance, and killing billions of ancient strong S. The master of the Sword of War God was one of them. The sky and the earth were dyed with blood, and the entire ancient world was dyed with blood. In the end, they failed. However, in the end, those demons were also killed by the seal. Billions of years of time. Millions of years of time have passed since the ancient world gave the order to invaders from other realms. Black and White thought that there were no more Wota space demons, but they simply could not forget the aura on Blood Monk's body. They also knew that the Blood Monk was being killed by Long Fei in the desolate secret world. Even if the primordial spirit escaped, and their bodies were reconstituted, their cultivation would still be greatly reduced. It was simply impossible for their cultivation to be reduced in just a few short days. Only the Wota space demons could become stronger. Both of them tensed up. Black and White said flatly, "Old demon, did you see that? You just helped him," and the difficulty of his path immediately increased. Wota space demons, even if he did not fully recover his power, you should know how terrifying he is, right? The old demon's mouth was wide open in disbelief, but he did not know how to refute the black and white. He changed the topic. Didn't those remaining giant demons in ancient world all turn the Dragon Emperor into the dragon sword? Sigh. Black and white said, in the 9 realms of the primordial era, each realm has a place called the seal. After several tens of millions of years, the power of the seal has weakened as well. This time, Black and White suddenly stopped and looked towards the sarcophagus. After pausing for a few seconds, they said worriedly, maybe he escaped from the seal himself. He did not say it all. The Western regions' seal had already been broken by Long Fei, so at that time, he thought that the giant demons were already suppressed by the sarcophagus. Who would have thought? The other one escaped. This fellow's aura should have belonged to the giant demon that escaped. The old devil said, you escaped. How could the Dragon Emperor sword let them escape? Isn't this too ridiculous? The Dragon Emperor turned into a sword, became a dragon sword, and 9 places of seal. Because of this, primordial energy was also divided into 9 realms. Every single Dragon King sword was incomparably powerful. The profound chi had been consumed over billions of years. When he thought of the other 8 realms, the old demon's heart went cold. Old bastard, what about the other 8 realms? Black and White said, it should be fine. He didn't dare to say what had happened to the sarcophagus. What was this thing that the Azure Dragon was carrying on its back? Even if he killed the Azure Dragon Emperor, he wouldn't be able to confirm what was in the coffin. However, he felt that this sarcophagus was definitely not simple. The old demon didn't know what had happened before, so he asked, are you going to be alright? If the Dragon King's profound chi is exhausted, then wouldn't the giant demons be able to turn the universal realm upside down? No way. I have to get this kid to go check it out quickly. Hey! The old devil is an impatient man. He wanted to speak of this matter to Long Fei immediately, but he couldn't. Black and White immediately stopped him. Old devil, don't you understand? This is his path, not ours. Let him walk on his own and make his own choices. The person he has to face right now is not an ordinary strong one. The old demon stopped and grinned. Strong? Being able to do it once for Seal and the others, and being able to do it twice for Seal and the others. No, we have to beat their shit out of them this time. Long Fei did not hear the conversation between Black and White and the old demon. He also didn't know how the blood monk could suddenly become so powerful. However, to him, this world now had another boss. Didn't think of it. Long Fei, I really have to thank you. If you hadn't killed me, I wouldn't have had such a fortuitous encounter. I would repay you. Today, I shall spare your life. This is my reward. Next time, I won't let you live. The blood monk coldly laughed. At the same time, he was secretly shocked in his heart. Good boy, I never thought that in a few short days, your cultivation would actually rise to such a level. It is truly terrifying. Furthermore, to be able to control the devil tribulation and kill Zhu Daoren. This kid must have some sort of powerful ability. Having experienced the first time he died at Long Fei's hands, Blood Monk didn't dare to rashly take action. Even if he thought about how his cultivation had already reached level 6 Overlord, he still wouldn't dare to act recklessly, and his goal this time wasn't Long Fei's life. He was here to collect the bodies. He had collected all the corpses of the thousands of heavenly sacred realm powerhouse that Long Fei had killed. This was another great achievement. As long as I can obtain some of my master's power, my cultivation will be able to increase by another level. Thinking about these blood monks, he became excited. Zhu Yuan said, why didn't you kill him? Why are you letting him go? If we kill him, the factory sect will be mine. When the time comes, we'll join hands and rule over the entire western regions. Without waiting for Zhu Yuan to finish speaking, the blood monk disdainfully sneered, cooperate with you? Who do you think you are? If it wasn't for Master seeing your potential, do you think I would have saved you? You think you can dominate the western regions? You can't even rule over the factory sect, and you still dare to rule over the western regions. What a joke. Disdain. Zhu Yuan's face sank. To be blatantly humiliated like this was truly displeasing to the eye. Blood Monk said, are you unhappy? If you are not satisfied, go down and kill Long Fei. As long as you can kill Long Fei, the factory sect is yours. Do you dare? Can you kill him? Zhu Yuan's face became even more unsightly, as though she had been slapped in the face by Blood Monk. It was incomparably uncomfortable, and she was unable to say a single word. Which Blood Monk sneered, and said coldly, not killing Long Fei today is also Master's wish, but he won't live long. Then, the Blood Monk looked at Long Fei, who was on the ground, and said, Long Fei, the current factory sect's strength can't even compare to a third-rate sect. If you want to protect the factory sect, you need to use your power on the Gathering of Heroes. However, with your current strength, the Gathering of Heroes can only be massacred. Long Fei, I hope to see you on Gathering of Heroes, ha ha ha. Blood Monk laughed crazily. With a flick of his wide robe, he brought Zhu Yuan and disappeared from where he was. That strong, unique pressure also disappeared with it. Only a few wild laughs reverberated in the sky. Long Fei's mind relaxed, as he let out a heavy exhale. Looking in the direction that Blood Monk disappeared in, he said with a heavy voice, Gathering of Heroes. Lan Mai walked up and asked, Are we participating? Long Fei did not hesitate and nodded his head. Clenching his fists tightly, he said one word, yes. He had to. He had to. Long Fei was very firm. Lan Mai slightly said, With the strength of our factory sect, I'm afraid. Thousands of God's holy peakness powerhouse were killed, and there were still countless of them who had quietly left the place. It could be said that less than 50 of them remained, and all of them were people who were no longer able to break through, and had nowhere to go. Their realms were completely restricted. On the disciple side, it was the same, many people left with their masters. The vast factory sect. On the vast 8 peaks, there were only a few thousand people left. With this kind of numbers and strength, not to mention third-rate powers, they weren't even in the last tier. Long Fei could just leave. In any case, this wasn't a sect that he had established, so he didn't care about the sense of belonging. However, the guardians of the 18 Defense Presbyter for several hundred years, they had hoped throughout their entire lives that the factory sect could continue to be passed on. But now, they didn't know. Long Fei had to fulfill their last wish. Their dream in life was to dominate the western regions. Long Fei will do his best. It was also because of these that Long Fei became even more determined. Who dares to look down on factory sect, the ruler of the Gathering of Heroes? In the evening, the more people left, the fewer there were. Originally, there were still 1,000 people, but now there were only 300 to 400 left. Furthermore, it was as if the factory sect was swept away by the devils. All that could be taken away could be moved away. The whole scene was like a raid. Long Fei did not stop them, nor did he send anyone to stop them. These things might have some value, but it could also show the value of those people. It was not worth for Long Fei to keep them. Boss Tan De Pao recuperated from his injuries and walked into the hall, and said, We are almost all gone, and factory sect is also about to move all of his assets. Are you really not going to stop us? Long Fei said lightly, Let them move, let them go, there's no need to stop them. But Tan De Pao was slightly anxious. Without these things and these resources, who would still be willing to stay? Martial arts training. What is cultivated is the heart, and what is refined is the resources. Without cultivation resources, no one would stay. If staying in a place like this only meant death, who would stay? No one understood Long Fei. He should be stopping them at this point in time. Moreover, he was trying to urge them to stay, so as to not suffer even more losses, but on the other hand, Long Fei was the one who decided to do nothing, and not care about anything else. Long Fei said, I know what all of you are thinking, and I have thought about it before, but what I want is someone who truly sees the factory sect as their home. Only by treating this place as his home will he be able to guard it. I want these people. Only such people would fight desperately for their families. Just like how a man would assume the role of a family, he was the pillar of support. No matter what happened in the family, he would never give up, because this was his home. There was someone he had to protect. Rumble. One of the heavenly saint elders landed and said, Long Fei, from today onwards, Sword Peak is my territory. If you dare to take a step in, don't blame this old man for being impolite. Tan De Pao said heavily, impudent. The heavenly saint elder laughed. Impudent. You don't have the qualifications to say this word. If it wasn't for you factory sect people, would things have turned out like this? All right. I just wanted to inform you, but I didn't have any intention of asking for your permission. His figure flashed and disappeared into the distance. It was also at this time. God's holy peakness powerhouse continued to descend and divide up the territory. Long Fei did not stop them either. No need. The people from Saint's Temple became even more anxious, especially the crazy wolf. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Long Fei, you have to do something, right? We can't continue like this. Long Fei didn't do anything. Long Fei sat in Saint's Temple for an entire night. Originally, he did not have the mood to create dragon armor, as his mood would affect his success rate. He only had one set of ingredients, and Long Fei did not want to fail. The next morning, Qin Shuang walked into the hall and said, Long Fei, all of you have left. Those that didn't leave are all outside the hall. Zheng Yuanhang, Lan Mai, and the other two entered the great hall and said to Long Fei, the things that Zhu Daoren has left behind are pretty much all gathered. Long Fei slightly nodded as he walked out of the hall. As he walked out of the great hall, the space between Long Fei's eyebrows tightened slightly as his heart trembled. Because there were only 100 or so people left outside the hall. Not only that, but most of them were old, weak, and handicapped. They were people that no one wanted, and they couldn't leave either. The other part was the handyman. They also had no one to take care of them and could not leave either. They did not even know where they would go if they left Factory Sect. When the crazy wolf walked out, it also laughed bitterly. My beast hill does not have a single disciple remaining. Aya, I, the peak owner, have really failed. Long Fei did not say anything, and said indifferently, are all of you willing to follow me? Everyone was at a loss. A few light sounds, I'm willing. More people were helpless. Long Fei did not say much about his lofty ambitions, nor did he promise anything. He simply said, those who are willing to follow me to the Immortals' residence. Factory Sect came out of the Immortals' residence, let's start from there. While they were talking, Long Fei took a step forward. Crazy Wolf had summoned a huge immortal peng, and many people could not even fly on their own and had to report them one by one. Xiao Bai muttered, Boss, is that all right? Why don't we return to the East Imperial City? The people from East Imperial City are also stronger than them. Long Fei shook his head, there is too little time, I am too late. There was only half a month left to the Gathering of Heroes and a round trip to the East Imperial City would take a few days. Long Fei could not afford to waste it. Xiao Bai said, then these people. Long Fei said, who is your boss? I am the one who created miracles. Xiao Bai's eyes flashed with a light of determination. He was brainless to believe in Long Fei. There was nothing that Long Fei could not accomplish. However, wanting to turn these elderly, weak, and handicapped into peerless powerhouse was not something that could be done in half a month. Long Fei said, go to the Ghost Manor and ask the Queen to bring some people here. Xiao Bai nodded, and said, all right. Icefire, go to Night Valley and bring me those people. Bing Hua nodded. All right. Zhang Yuanhang, go to Xianwu Pavilion. Hand over all the treasures and ingredients that Zhu Daoren has collected to them and have them forge immortal weapons for me with all their might. Long Fei said. Zhang Yuanhang also nodded, and said, I'll go right now. A few hours later, Long Fei brought his men to the Celestial House. He looked at the people on the immortal rock as he descended, and said lightly, from now on, you are all my disciples. In half a month's time I will make all of you first-class powerhouse. From now on, you all don't have to do anything. Cultivate for me. They didn't even have time to question him. Long Fei moved, let the ancient devil tree begin. In that instant, the devilish liquid controlled the release of power, allowing Long Fei to completely release the power of the stars, the strongest being the most released. Long Fei took out a drop of magic power. Let me see your magic. A drop of liquid fused with Long Fei's power of the stars. Immediately, his aura suddenly changed. The old tree sprouts when spring comes. The old tree sprouts when spring comes. The fusion of the magic power caused the aura being released by Long Fei's body to abruptly change. This change could not be described with words. A cyan stone beneath Long Fei's feet flickered with a little spirit light. It was originally a normal cyan stone floor, but in an instant, it seemed to have gained some spirit energy. It was all cultivating, frantically absorbing the mystical chi released from Long Fei's body. Boom, boom, boom. This rock was closest to Long Fei, and the magic power that he absorbed was also the thickest. In a few seconds, his heart started to beat faster. Long Fei squatted down and looked at the blue stone beneath his feet. His heart was incomparably shaken as he said, "The magic power can create a new life form? You were created by me." Long Fei looked at the limestone in a daze. After thinking for a few seconds, Long Fei took a step back and lifted the cyan stone from the ground with one hand. He stood in front of him and held it with both of his hands as he said faintly, "You and I are fated." Then, Long Fei looked at the rest of the people and said, "Even stones can be refined, what are you waiting for? Could it be that your inherent skills are even worse than Shitu's? Is he even more stupid than a rock?" Everyone came to their senses. Moreover, many people's bodies were undergoing changes as their physical strength continued to evolve. "My feet are healed. I am no longer a cripple. Ha ha ha. Look at my eyes, my eyes. My eyes can see again. I am no longer a one-eyed man. I can feel endless power in my body." Boom, boom. The punch shattered the void. Everyone in the surroundings was changing. Their strength, the strength of their bodies, the strength of the pubes, even every single strand of hair was changing. The trees and flowers were growing crazily. Normal spirit grass had evolved into divine-level spirit grass, while ordinary trees had turned into towering trees that emitted dense spirit energy. Qin Shuang, Chu Qing, Su Su, Lan Mai, and the others also grabbed onto the opportunity and started to cultivate as well. To them, this was a fortuitous encounter. "I can't miss it." Boom, boom. "I've broken through. What's there to be happy about when I break through? I've already broken through to the 3rd level. Only 3? I'm already at the 5th floor. I have already stepped into the royal realm." Yuan Tianwang's eyes burned with passion as he looked at Long Fei. He clenched his fists and said, I have broken through the Emperor realm. I thought I would never be able to enter the Emperor realm in my entire life. Long Fei, thank you." Before he could finish, a godly light suddenly flashed from Yuan Astronomy's body. Suddenly, Yuan Astronomical's forehead tightened. Before he could say anything, he had already sat down with his knees crossed. His expression was getting more and more excited. He came from the East Imperial City, the place of the felony. Once, he was East Imperial City's #1 person, his blood vein must also be hiding some kind of power. The divine light from earlier had proven everything. Long Fei felt the change in Yuan Ju's aura and was slightly happy. Another awakened. "I've given you a chance. Whether you can grasp it or not is up to you guys. I, Long Fei, am not a useless person. I want to cultivate in this dense spiritual energy every day, so you guys must work hard for me." Long Fei replied heavily. Long Fei had given them a chance. Become stronger. The thing that everyone longed for the most. In the world of martial artists, becoming strong was the only way out, and also the goal for life. For every cultivator, as long as they had this opportunity, no one would miss it. So what if he was old and weak? So what if his talent was dull? As long as you have the heart to become stronger, if you dare to work hard, if you dare to go all out, Long Fei will give you hope. Long Fei looked at the blue stone beneath his hands and said faintly, "You are the same, you are a rock. If you want to be different from others, then you must put in even more effort." It was unknown if Qingsha understood him, but he absorbed the aura that came out of Long Fei's identity even more than before. Boom, boom, boom. The sounds of people breaking through to the next level continuously rang in his ears. One day later, the magic power slowly dissipated. Long Fei also noticed and said, "It can only be maintained for one day. A whole day's time was already extremely abnormal. Forget about everything else, other than a heartbeat, one could already see clear veins on the stone in front of Long Fei, which were like blood vessels. Before long, this piece of limestone could truly turn into an adult. The other people's powers were also constantly getting stronger. Fatri sect will start from here, and I will start from here today as well. Calm down, Defense Presbyter. I, Long Fei, will help you with your hatred, your last wishes, and whatever else you can't do. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. Zhu Yuan also appeared in his mind, causing his killing intent to boil. On the second day, Long Fei did not continue to use the magic power. In the room, he took out all the materials needed to create the dragon armor. The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor was also constantly explaining and describing the properties of these materials. Seeing the slowly piling up materials in the room, even Long Fei was a bit startled, and said, "Since I dropped so many materials?" The Azure Dragon Ancestor said, "I wonder how many people you've killed." Long Fei scratched his head, and said, "That's true. Azure Dragon. What will happen to you after you create the dragon armor?" Long Fei really wanted to know. The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral said, "I was able to leave your body, roam the 4 seas, and fight for you. I am no longer borrowing your body." There were many advantages to having a dragon armor. Dragon armor was his armor, and also one of his defenses, used to defend against certain powers. Hearing the Azure Dragon's words, Long Fei immediately became excited, and said, "Then, can you bring me to the Heavenly Palace? There's still my brother in the Wash Sky Pool." He thought of the Black Dragon Ancestor. Thinking of those memories from before, the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral said, "No problem, as long as you are prepared, I can bring you anywhere in Universal Realm." Heavenly Palace? The strongest realm in Universal Realm. It was also an independent territory of the God's tribe. It was also the place Long Fei wanted to go to the most, the place he wanted to go to the most. Long Fei smiled excitedly, and said, "All right. Then I'll start making the Long family now. I'll definitely create the most perfect dragon armor for you. I promise you that you'll be satisfied with it." Long Fei's mind had already formed the outline. He completely memorized the properties of these materials. Following that, Long Fei began to heat up his hands. It had been a long time since he had made a battle uniform, so the making technique was a little unfamiliar. Huff. The materials can only be used once. If it fails, not only the mission, but also the expectations of the Azure Dragon. No matter what, we cannot fail this time around. Long Fei's mind was calm, his heart as calm as the surface of a deep mountain. His heart was calm. And then, Long Fei's eyes flashed with a bright light, he raised his right hand, and the idea began to spin. Its making technique, begin. Was proficient at making normal battle clothes, so there wouldn't be any mistakes. The dragon armor was not ordinary. Was proficient at making normal battle clothes, so there wouldn't be any mistakes. The dragon armor was not ordinary. Its size. It was not that Long Fei did not care about the size, but he needed to bring one of the materials to its limits. The inch world seemed a bit small, but inside, it was a huge world. What mattered was power. The most important thing for dragon armor was their power. If they could not release their power, then the dragon armor could only look good. Lastly, it was defense. Unless it was specifically crafted, would always neglect defense. To him, the strongest attack was the best defense. However, the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor needed the dragon armor to help him block some special power. Although he didn't say it, Long Fei could feel that the power he was talking about should be very strong, and very lethal to him. He had to consider perfecting his defense as well. Nothing can be overlooked. Heaven's Mandate Mystical Rock, Heaven's Mandate as defense. The purple demon rock is called Scaled Armor. Long Fei crazily refined it using his True Spirit Underworld Fire. To continuously circulate the making technique, the consumption of true spiritual value was also incomparably huge. Ordinary people simply could not endure it at all, and Pubis S would be consumed until they were impotent. 1 day, 2 days. Long Fei didn't even take a single step forward. The people outside were desperately cultivating, no one wanted to stop, no one wanted to drag them down. Another 2 days passed. Long Fei was still in the process of desperately crafting. Sewing it bit by bit, and using his own strength bit by bit to link it, this was an incomparably long process. In this process, Long Fei did not dare be even the slightest bit careless. Without distractions, in a world where one forgets oneself. Boom. Boom. Ha ha ha. I've also stepped into the Emperor realm. The power of the Emperor realm? Is this the power of the Emperor realm? Thank the heavens. The person you want to thank should be the Lord of Young Master Long. That's right. That's right. He is my living parents. He gave me my second life. From now on, I don't need to be looked down upon anymore. Many people were excited. Tan De Pao and the others were the same, but they did not express any excitement. They knew what kind of enemies they would face in the future. After Long Fei left the Saints' Hill, the other 7 peaks immediately began to fight for it. A few days of continuous fighting was finally fought over by an elder of the Wu's Peak's God's holy state. After some discussion, they reorganized the Fatri sect. No one is allowed to touch the territory of the Fatri sect. Grandmaster, what should we do with those people from the Immortal Execution Archipelago? Humph. If not for Long Fei, our Fatri sect would not have been able to become like this. Long Fei is the sinner of our Fatri sect, we must get rid of him. But his cultivation, he can kill Mr. Celestial, he can kill even Overlord Stronger Man, I heard that Long Fei is preparing for the Gathering of Heroes 10 days later and is in closed-door cultivation. The current sect master's eyes flashed with a bright light. Long Fei is in closed-door cultivation? Ha ha ha. That's our chance. Kill all the old, weak, and handicapped that he is leading. Who will he bring to participate in the Gathering of Heroes? Besides, he is currently nothing, and is unable to replace our Fatri sect. If we were to say that we are the ones participating in the Gathering of Heroes selection, when will his turn come? Yi Muzhan coldly sneered and said, immediately send someone to the Immortal's residence. There was a pause for a few seconds. Yi Muzhan slightly said, besides Long Fei, there are also quite a few Powerhouse S. Let's not send Heavenly Saint Realm Powerhouse S first, let's send a group of elite emperors to investigate the situation. He's an old fox. If he wasn't confident, he definitely wouldn't rashly try. Not long later, a group of 8 Emperor-level experts headed towards the Immortal's residence. A few hours later, he arrived at the Immortal's residence. When they came to the Immortal's residence, those Emperor Strongmen S were exceptionally arrogant. Are there any survivors? Come out. Sect Master has ordered us to have you all scram out of the Immortal's mansion immediately. A man said heavily. The Immortal cultivator's eyes opened and could not help but look towards the room where Long Fei was cultivating in seclusion. There was no order coming from the room, so Long Fei naturally heard him. However, if he had to say something about this, then their cultivation would be going down to the dogs for the next few days. Yuan Tianwang took a step forward, lightly said, our sect master is in closed-door cultivation, don't make such a ruckus here. Yo. Isn't that the White Horse Blossom exploring Yuan Tianwang from back then? What is it? You came too. That's true, you, Long Fei, originally came to this trash place, so of course you old trash must follow the lame duck. Is that true? Ha ha ha. Trash that can't even break through to the Emperor realm, you're even qualified to talk to us? I entered the Fatri sect a few years after you. My cultivation is about to reach the god's holy state. Old trash. Ha ha ha. The 8 began to mock him. Yuan Tianwang was neither anxious nor impatient, he said in a calm manner, I'll tell you all once again, my sect master is undergoing closed-door cultivation. Please do not cause such a ruckus here again. F***CK. A man immediately shouted, do you think I have a good face? You old trash actually dares to be presumptuous in front of us? Not to mention you, even that lame duck Long Fei. When he said Long Fei, that lame duck, Yuan Tianwang raised his eyes slightly. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and the golden light spread out in all 4 directions. Kwong Ba's killing intent was released. What are you looking at? For example, this old trash. Not waiting for him to finish. Yuan Tianwang disappeared in place, and in an instant, he stood behind the man who had just spoke and said coldly, you can say that I am fine, but you don't believe that my sect master believes that. Crack. With a flash of divine light, his neck broke. A head rolled down, blood spurting out. The other 7 people were shocked, and their faces were overwhelmed with shock. Too fast. He didn't have time to react at all. They didn't even know how Yuan Tianwang had attacked. The 7 of them trembled. Your cultivation. Yuan Tianwang smiled faintly and said, "First level of the Heavenly Saint realm. No, impossible. A piece of trash like you, how could you possibly?" Not waiting for him to finish. Crack. Another divine light flashed, and another head fell off. The other 6 people reacted and ran, but Yuan Tianwang did not plan to let them go. "I gave you a chance. So, all of you must die." In just a few seconds, all 8 of the Emperor Realm elite martial artists were instantly killed. Yuan Tianwang looked in the direction of the Saint's Hill, and his gaze tensed up. "The Yong Master Long Lord is low profile, so he won't do anything to you people from the Li sect, but you will harass him. This is the first batch, and they'll be back later." Long Fei was in closed-door training and would not let anyone disturb him. Immediately, Yuan Tianwang took a step forward, and immediately flew towards the Saint's Hill. Knowing that Yuan Tianwang had left, Long Fei did not stop him. Although he was creating dragon armor, he was still able to sense the changes in his surroundings through the aura. Yuan Tianwang was now at the first level of Heavenly Saint. His level was not high, but he was an awakened. Ordinary gods' holy peakness powerhouse were simply unable to do anything to him. There weren't many Heavenly Sage realm powerhouse on the Saint's Hill, so he wouldn't suffer a loss if he went there. Moreover, Tan De Pao also quietly followed. With Tan De Pao here, there was no need to worry. Huff. Long Fei let out a heavy breath, looked at the fine and dense elementary dragon armor in his hands, and said, "There is only the last process left." 6 days and 6 nights without sleep, with a high concentration of mental energy, Long Fei's mental energy seemed exhausted, but Long Fei did not dare to be careless in this last process. Now that it had reached its initial stage, Long Fei needed to be more careful in the last step in order for it to unleash even more power. Strength fusion. The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor faintly said, "Long Fei, I am already very satisfied with the progress of this dragon armor." He was worried. He was worried about the dragon armor, and even more worried about Long Fei. If the fusion of the powers failed, Long Fei's body would also be severely injured. Long Fei said, "I am a person who strives for perfection the most. I have already reached this step, why haven't I come to an end? Don't worry, I'm confident." The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor did not say anything else. He could not help much with regards to the dragon armor. He could not possibly inject the power of his own Azure Dragon. Hoo. Long Fei adjusted his breathing, the idea moved, magic power. Out of the 5 drops of magic power, he still had 4 drops, and after using another drop, he only had 3 drops remaining. Class special item. What could its power transform dragon armor into? Long Fei didn't know. However, he would know soon enough. The mystical liquid floated above Long Fei's palm. Long Fei was a little excited as he said, "Come." The liquid fell down, dripping onto the dragon armor in that instant. Just like a flame burning, a ray of energy directly covered the entire dragon armor, and like a raging tide, it crazily attacked every corner of the dragon armor. Every scale on the dragon armor's body trembled, as if they were giving birth to life. The entire set of dragon armor was trembling. The chrysanthemum of the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor tightened and also stared deadly at the dragon armor. At the same time, his strength silently protected Long Fei's body. It didn't matter if he failed, he could still look for the materials, but Long Fei could not be injured. Ha. The magic power is indeed powerful. Just look at this dragon armor's transformation. It's as though it has a life of its own. Long Fei watched the change in the dragon armor's power. He was constantly checking the attributes of the dragon armor through the system. His stats were constantly increasing. Boom. Crazy transformation. Item, dragon armor, unnamed. Defense, 10 stars, still increasing. Strength, 12 stars, still increasing. Everything was growing at an increasing rate, and its speed was so fast that Long Fei felt his heart beating wildly, as if it was going to jump out of his throat. Too fierce, ha ha ha. As the attributes became stronger, the enormous energy on the dragon armor's surface continued to burn. As his attributes became stronger, they became bigger and bigger. The scales seemed to be unable to bear it. At this time, Long Fei's eyes darkened. Damn, this is bad, I have been overacting, the magic power is too powerful, if this goes on, this set of dragon armor will completely shatter into pieces. F***CK. This was outside of Long Fei's expectations. He thought that the Long family materials that the Azure Dragon's sacred ancestral picked were all top-quality materials and could withstand any kind of power grilling, but now, the magic power had completely dominated the dragon armor, and if this carried on, the dragon armor would crack. No way. Long Fei clenched his fists. I was still thinking about riding on the dragon head and acting tough. How can I be destroyed by you? Immediately, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. He waved his right hand. A drop of blood essence floated in the palm of his hand. When the Azure Dragon's sacred ancestor saw Long Fei's blood essence, he immediately said, "No. Your blood essence is extremely precious, you can't use it casually, and I can't take it either. Hurry up and take it back." Long Fei couldn't hear the conversation between Black and White and the old demon, but the Azure Dragon could hear it. Long Fei's blood essence was exceptionally precious to him, not a single drop could be wasted. His own dragon armor just wanted to increase its strength and defense, how could it use Long Fei's blood essence? Not usable. He was even more afraid to use it. This was because there were a few super big shots in Long Fei's body, so he did not dare to even move an inch. Long Fei did not care that much. With a flip of his right palm, the power of his blood essence heavily smashed onto the dragon armor. At this moment, the burning power of the dragon armor became even more arrogant. Bang, 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 bang. However, under the pressure of Long Fei's blood essence, even though the magic power was strong, it was completely suppressed by Long Fei's blood essence. No matter how much it expanded, it could not escape its control. However, Long Fei was currently in extreme pain. The power of the blood essence was merging into the dragon armor, as if his own strength was being crazily devoured by the dragon armor. Rumble. 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 The world of dragon armor exploded crazily. Long Fei's right palm trembled, as though he was about to be blown away. It's still not enough, right? Perfect. Suddenly, the aura of the stars that was being released from Long Fei's body suddenly retracted. The aura of the immortal estate had all disappeared. The cultivators immediately woke up and looked at each other. Why is the dense spiritual energy suddenly gone? What happened? What's going on? I'm just a little bit away from breaking through to the second level of the Emperor realm. Everyone was discussing amongst themselves in confusion. Shenyuan Li Su, Lan Mai walked over to Long Fei's room and looked inside. They knew what had happened to Long Fei. What is it? They didn't dare to disturb him. Suddenly, tens of thousands of starlight rays shot out from the room. Hualala. The entire room collapsed, and a golden light shot into the sky. Long Fei sat cross-legged. Under his palms, the set of dragon armor was trembling. The starlight continued to shrink. Was continuously being crushed by Long Fei's 2 waves of power. Rumble. Every scale in the dragon armor was boiling. The Azure Dragon's sacred ancient was so excited that his tears were beginning to gush out. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed out wildly. Success, it's done. I did it. Ha ha ha. 3 strengths. This dragon armor doesn't want to defy the heavens. Ha ha ha. Long Fei was even more excited than after eating Viagra. He watched the dragon armor in his hands contract its strength bit by bit. Finally, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the dragon armor production. Name. Long Fei paused for a moment, and said, it will be called the Cast Star Dragon King Armor. With the fusion of the star power, the entire set is like a starry sky, and this is exactly the case for the Star King Dragon King. Moreover, I fused with the power of the stars. Ha ha. Azure Dragon, are you satisfied? The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient was so excited that he began to cry. Long Fei said, "Don't be hasty, let me take a look at its attributes first." Long Fei was extremely excited about the fusion of 3 different types of powers. Long Fei was extremely excited about the fusion of 3 different types of powers. He quickly opened up the system's attributes. Item: Cast Star Dragon King Armor Attack, 19 stars Defense, 17 stars Speed Buff, plus 15 critical hit, plus 80% Fatal Attack, Star God, roaming the starry sky. Long Fei was completely dumbfounded by the series of top attributes. Damn! This is too freaking abnormal. Long Fei's heart was as shaken as if a volcano had erupted. Azure Dragon, this time you can go to heaven. He had never created such a perverted attribute. This dragon armor was completely out of Long Fei's expectations, and no matter how one looked at it, it was perfect. Of course. This was because when Long Fei had injected the magic power, the power of his blood essence was equivalent to the power of stars in the ancient times. The Azure Dragon's sacred ancestor was so moved that tears began to flow from his eyes. His enormous body trembled. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He didn't know what to say to express his gratitude. Black and White said indifferently, Azure Dragon, Long Fei created a perfect dragon armor for you. You should know what he has done for the dragon armor in your heart, right? There was a trace of pressure in his voice. How could the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient not understand what he was saying? He immediately said, I know, I understand. I also know what I should do in the future. Black and White said flatly, it's good that you know that. I think you should at least know something. Otherwise, when you're playing with the flames, you won't even know how you died. The word die was bitten especially hard. The green dragon's body trembled slightly, and said immediately, I understand, I will definitely not betray Long Fei. Monochrome said no more. As he withdrew his oppressive aura, the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient relaxed a little and heavily swallowed his anger. That aura just now was too deadly. That's true. Back then, he wasn't even his opponent when he was at the peak of the Dragon King. Now that he didn't even have a dragon soul, how could he be his opponent? Moreover, he was no longer the Azure Dragon Emperor of that time. Even without the dragon soul, it was still possible for him to leave Long Fei's body and roam around in the 4 seas. This was the second time Long Fei gave him this life. This gratitude would be etched in his heart. Long Fei had never held back against him, and he remembered all of these in his heart. Compared to his previous master, Long Fei was even more respected. Long Fei did not know what Black and White had said to the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor, and said, all right, you can try wearing this dragon armor and bring me around. The Azure Dragon Ancestor said, all right. The idea moved. After placing the Cast Star Dragon King armor into the space ring, the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient immediately donned it. Exerting the attribute of the area Wonderland, it seemed like a dragon armor the size of an ordinary armor was completely suitable for the Azure Dragon's enormous body. Not at all, not at all. The moment he put it on, a few stars immediately floated above the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient's body, as if he was the center of a galaxy. The power of the stars surged. The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient was even more excited. Thank you, really, thank you. Long Fei disdainfully said, thank my ass, this is what I promised you at the beginning. Moreover, you have also helped me a lot. We are brothers. Between us brothers, the word thank you is not part of our meaning. Long Fei treated them as brothers after fighting together. Although the Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestor was brought out from the divine tomb, after his attribute was taken out, Long Fei remained on guard. Until now, when he was in front of his brothers, it was because they had fought together. The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient was even more moved. The old demon couldn't help but feel moved, saying, damn, this kid really knows how to win over people's hearts. Fighting with him is like fighting a brother. These words are really too exciting. Black and White said flatly, this is the difference between him and Master. The old demon grinned. Then I prefer Master. Long Fei said, does the dragon armor like it? The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancestral said, I like it very much. I'm very satisfied. It was also at this time. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the Forging Dragon Armor mission. The system suddenly sounded out. Only then did Long Fei remember that the dragon armor was a quest. He immediately checked the quest system. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the quest and obtaining task reward. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1 billion experience point. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining random draw twice. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heavenly Dragon's Flame. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the special reward Holy Dragon Soul. Do you wish to fuse them? Creating dragon armor was a boss level mission, and all of a sudden it was like a boss explosion. Long Fei couldn't help but be excited. Holy Dragon Soul? Long Fei looked at the special item given by the system. He wanted to check the properties of Holy Dragon Soul, but he was unable to. No attributes. Impossible, right? Just as Long Fei was about to take a closer look. Suddenly, the sound of a stone door opening could be heard. Long Fei's heart sank, he raised his eyes slightly, and carefully looked at the sarcophagus, a gold light flickering out. Long Fei was startled for a moment, and said, You need Holy Dragon Soul? This sarcophagus was the thing he feared the most in his body. Black and white were very powerful. The old demon were very irritable, but Long Fei wasn't afraid, because they had the repression of boundary stones holding them back, but this sarcophagus. From the moment he entered Long Fei's body, the sarcophagus had only been used once. It had absorbed all 18 Wota space demons in the seal and turned them into big Master Guard arm. Long Fei would never forget this power in his entire life. This fellow was not to be trifled with. Just what was in the sarcophagus? Long Fei still did not know, but there was one thing that he was sure of, which was that it was extremely dangerous inside. The stone coffin opened a little more, and Long Fei understood its meaning, and said, Okay, then you'll have it. He threw it out. When Holy Dragon's soul landed inside the sarcophagus, it immediately closed, and only heard a loud explosion from the sarcophagus. A few seconds later, everything quieted down, as if nothing had happened. Only Black and White and the old devil looked at each other. Was that really Holy Dragon's soul? Old Devil nodded slowly, and said, I felt it very clearly, it's Holy Dragon's soul, I can't be wrong. Black and White swallowed, then said, That is an ancient Dragon Clan sacred artifact. Holy Dragon Soul is extremely scarce, yet it was actually able to directly devour it. The old devil said naively, Right now, I am thinking about one question. Why does he want to swallow Holy Dragon Soul? How powerful is the power inside Holy Dragon Soul? Any powerhouse would be torn apart if they engulfed it, but how many seconds did he use? The more he thought about it, the more his scalp went numb. Not daring to continue thinking, he asked, Black and White, you arrived earlier than me. You should know what is inside this sarcophagus, right? Black and White also shook their heads. I don't know anything about this sarcophagus, but I feel like he can definitely swallow us all in an instant. The old demon was stunned. How irritable was the old devil? How irritable was the old devil? His temper was that of a man who feared nothing, and no matter who it was all for naught. How could the ancestor of all devils be afraid? If he had heard this in the past, he would have immediately jumped out and attacked, but now, he did not doubt Black and White's words at all. He was scared out of his wits. How terrifying was this guy in the sarcophagus? The old demon glanced at the silent sarcophagus and muttered, Next time, I have to be more careful. Lottery. Lottery. I haven't drawn a prize in a long time. Long Fei's face was full of excitement. He didn't think too much about Holy Dragon Soul, he just wanted the sarcophagus. If not, he probably wouldn't be able to control it either. The idea moved, activating lottery. The system interface instantly changed to a lottery interface. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for activating Grand Mist Lottery System. System prompt. Would you like to double the price? Holy sh**. Double. The primordial system is truly amazing. Long Fei looked at the system prompt and muttered, Go ahead and play with it. Double. If you take my fate, it doesn't matter even if you lose. Although Long Fei said that, he was still a little nervous. Let's go for it. It's one bicycle becomes a motorbike. Activate. Ding. Double success. The notification popped up and a giant wheel appeared on the interface. Why did he say it was huge? It was because it was more than 10 meters tall in front of Long Fei, and the round plate was densely packed with all sorts of things, with at least tens of thousands of different things. There were many words that Long Fei could not understand. You made it so sharp. Long Fei was startled. Seeing the start button in the middle, he pressed it with his hand. Let's begin. The needle began to move. However, Long Fei did not let go as he firmly held on. He laughed wickedly in his heart. Doubled. Let the pointer turn a little more. Hoo 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 hoo. Hoo 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 hoo. The needle flew around the wheel, and even so, Long Fei did not stop and continued to hold on. A few seconds later, when the needle turned into a spark, Long Fei trembled slightly. Crap, does that mean it doesn't have a limit? All the time? Since there is no limit, I will press a few more minutes. Hoo-a-la-la. 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 In the past, he had only pressed once before the needle started spinning. This time, because Long Fei was pressing twice as hard, and also because he was pressing twice as hard, something strange happened. The needle was on fire. Now, instead of a pointer spinning on top of it, it was a flame spinning on top of it. Ha ha ha. This is too cool. Long Fei could not stop laughing. Ding. System prompt. Please let go. No. Long Fei was very simple, and said, why let go? Why should Lousy press on? Why should we let go? Ding. System notification. Please let go of me now. Your father will not let you go. Long Fei could feel that the system was panicking. It was the first time something like this had happened. Bug? Ding. System notification. Red alert. Player please let go now. Don't let go, don't let go, just don't let go. I'm not letting go, what can you do? Long Fei held on tightly, and laughed in his heart. System, damn you, in the past, you were the one who was playing with me, and today, I am playing with you. And then, Long Fei said, I can let go of the rewards, but if you want me to, then I will not let go of the rewards, if not I will blow up your lottery platform. If you blow up your lottery platform, then all the items on the platform should be mine, right? Thinking of this, Long Fei's mission was sealed. The system did not emit any more alarm. It was as if it had fallen into silence. Another unknown area. Why would there be such a bug? We also didn't expect him to be like this. In the past, the lottery draw was only activated for it to be released, but this time, he's holding it in, and it's a new lottery draw platform. He's unstable in every aspect. What happens if this continues? In the end, the lucky draw platform will explode. Just like what the host said, everything on the platform will be rewarded to him. Zhongxian was stunned. There are several super holy artifacts that should not even appear in ancient world. If we give them all to him, the consequences will be unimaginable. There are two solutions. Speak. One is to stop the operation of the system. In this case, the host will immediately faint, and the danger may die. The system will also stop operating forever. No. It was not easy for someone to reach this stage, and he could not stop. Moreover, we can't afford to do such a thing. Someone in the upper management has placed special importance on him, so we can't stop the system from doing so. Then there's another way, to agree to his conditions. This. We still have 3 minutes. If this guy really refuses to let go, then we'll. Alright, agree to his request. Talk to him. Long Fei did not know that in that moment, he would have suddenly died. I won't let go, I won't let go, I won't let go. I just won't let go. Long Fei immediately started to sing, and the entire spinning wheel started to burn. The system did not make any prompting sounds, but Long Fei still had a thought of retreating. Damn, could it be that you have confiscated all of my lottery draws? Fuck. Do you want to let go? Just as Long Fei wanted to let go, the system beep sounded out again. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for discovering the special prize for the lottery, bug. Level +1. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Sky Saint level, 2. Suddenly, a system notification sounded out, shocking Long Fei, "You've discovered the special bug reward?" Long Fei's mind started to spin faster. He originally wanted to let go, but he became more alert and said, "Since it's the system's bug, then the reward shouldn't be limited to this, right?" Raising the god's holy state by 1 level required more than 2 billion experience, and the reward just now was equivalent to giving Long Fei more than 2 billion experience. If he did not take advantage of the chaos to rob Long Fei, he would not be called Long Fei. Ding. System notification. Please state what you want. Ha ha ha. Long Fei was overjoyed in his heart. System, you also have such a day, ha ha ha. Immediately. Long Fei immediately said, "Give me back my memories first, then 10 streams of creation power, then 10 super holy artifact, 10 times the EXP, what downgrade spray, unlucky spray, give me a dozen of each." After he finished speaking, Long Fei muttered, "Am I speaking too little?" System, that's the Almighty God. I should have asked for more. Long Fei was about to say again. However. Ding. System notification. You can accept anything except for memories. Player, please let go. Long Fei became even more excited in his heart. I wasn't done talking just now. Ding. System notification. Black alert. If the player still does not let go of the reward and stop the system from running, the player will fall into a deep sleep. Long Fei's gaze tightened, his hand relaxed slightly as he said faintly, "You're ruthless." The system stopped operating and the players fell into a deep sleep. The system stopped operating and the players fell into a deep sleep. When Long Fei heard these words, his heart was surprisingly calm. This was because he had long thought about what the creator of the system wanted to do. The words spoken by the system just now had exposed everything. He was just a manipulator and a puppet. The only difference between him and a puppet was that he had his own choices and his own thoughts. However, everything was within the control of the system. If the creator was not happy and did not want this game to continue, Long Fei might want the system to say that he would forever fall into deep sleep. Long Fei subconsciously let go of her hand. He smiled faintly and said, "You are the system and you are the boss. You can say whatever you want." The round table of the lottery draw came to a halt. The flame slowly extinguished and the podium for the lottery disappeared. It was also at this time. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining attack power of creation, power of luck summoning, power of creation for ferocious beasts, power of creation in the king's path. There were a total of 10 different types of the power of creation. There were many of them. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Super Holy Artifact 10. Every single one of them was a Super Holy Artifact of the divine level or above, and they were all not of the ordinary rank. Any one of them could cause a sensation in the western regions. In all kinds of spray. They were all 10 bottles. All the things that the system had promised were given to Long Fei. Logically speaking, no matter how powerful the double lottery was, it would not be able to pull out so many things. Long Fei would definitely earn big this time, but he wouldn't be able to get excited. To fall into a deep slumber forever. These words were like needles stabbing into his heart. The kind you can't pull out. Long Fei appeared to be indifferent on the surface, and his heart was unperturbed. This was because he did not want the system to detect him, but his subconscious was filled with killing intent and anger. There will be a day I will pull this thing out in my head, and a day I will find you. There will be a day. I swear. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. Following that, the killing intent and hatred immediately disappeared. Unknown domain. System scan. To discover any signs. Iris scan, deeper scan. The scan is complete. The host didn't show any signs of discomfort. Hatred points, 0. Killing intent, 0. Everything was the same as before. In the huge room filled with technology, both of them let out a light breath. Following that, the two of them looked at each other and said, "You know about this, but I know about it. We can't let the people up there know about it or we might disappear forever. He got so much because of our mistake. Increase the difficulty a bit. It's already the highest difficulty. A little higher. Otherwise, if we were to be discovered by our big boss, You know the consequences. Understood. Long Fei, I can finally leave my body. Do you want to go out for a few laps? The Azure Dragon sacred ancestor did not know what happened to Long Fei just now. Long Fei regained his composure. All right. At this moment. Su, Lan Mai walked over, saw the collapse of Long Fei's room, and asked concernedly, Big brother Long Fei, are you all right? Long Fei laughed, it's fine, you guys cultivate your martial skills first, wait for me to come back before providing spirit energy. I'll be right back. While they were talking, Long Fei let out an excited cry, Azure Dragon, come out. With that, a dragon roared. Roar. It was deafening. The entire Immortal Edge mountain range was trembling. Countless beasts were crawling on the ground, and countless creatures were shivering. Dragons were the most powerful creatures on the surface. The people from the Immortals' residence were even more dumbfounded. They looked at the azure scales of the sky and the enormous object in front of them, and all of their expressions were dumbfounded. Although the dragon race was not the strongest race among the human race, they were still incomparably powerful in the eyes of the human race, and they were naturally respectful to the human race. The Azure Dragon sacred ancestral hid the dragon armor. If the entire Long family erupted, it would be a completely different scene. The entire sky would probably turn starry. How powerful would the forging Dragon King armor be? Long Fei then leaped heavily into the air. The Azure Dragon ancestral immortal lowered his head to cater to Long Fei. Boom. Standing on the dragon head, Long Fei's robes began to make popping noises. Looking at his surroundings, he felt that he was looking down on the world. The feeling was just too great. Lord Yong Master Long. Lord Yong Master Long. A few people directly kneeled on the ground and kowtowed to him. The dragon had already made them feel incomparable respect, and Long Fei was even more so standing on the dragon head. If even the dragon had been tamed by Long Fei, how strong was he? Ha ha ha. The Azure Dragon laughed wildly. The colossal dragon waved its tail, and with a sudden twist of its body, it said, Stand firm, I'm going to ascend to the heaven. Long Fei was also excited. Come, let me see the scenery in the sky. Rumble. The dragon rolled its body and flew into the sky. The clouds whistled past and the entire world seemed to be stepped on. The sky turned and the rain fell. Long Fei rolled his body, and almost instantly rushed to the top of the clouds. Standing on the dragon head and looking into the distance, his heart slightly shook. This is a dragon. The green dragon lightly said, Where do you want to go? I can even bring you there, but there's no place in Universal Realm that I can't go to right now, even if it's the Heavenly Palace's sacred ground. Long Fei did not wait for the green dragon to finish speaking, and interrupted him. Let's go back. Huh. The Azure Dragon ancestor was stunned, then he said, You haven't gone anywhere yet. Let's go to the other realms to take a look. He really wanted to take Long Fei for a stroll. He also wanted to fly as much as he could. How many years had it been since he had last done this? Long Fei said, No need, I will walk past them step by step in the future. Whether it's the other realms, the Heavenly Palace, or even the ancient world, I will walk past them all. His path was not to rely on others, but to walk his own path step by step. The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient said slightly, I understand. I'll bring you down. At this moment, the sky suddenly moved, and a green lightning bolt struck straight for Long Fei. Without any warning. The lightning was like heavenly tribulation lightning, incomparably huge. Long Fei frowned, what's going on? The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient was also secretly nervous. Why would there be so much lightning? And it's even a cyan-colored god's suffering force. Stand firm. The Azure Dragon Sacred Ancient's body twisted, then he charged downwards. Long Fei looked at the green bolt of lightning, and asked faintly, Is it the system again? You really don't want to give me so many things all at once, right? You don't like it, right? My difficulty has increased again, right? Long Fei rubbed the bridge of his nose, and said angrily, What the F***ck, you're not happy, but I am even more unhappy. Azure Dragon, return with food. Riding the dragon well, a bolt of lightning suddenly struck down from the sky, unerringly, directly hitting Long Fei's head. This was something that would make anyone extremely unhappy. Riding the dragon well, a bolt of lightning suddenly struck down from the sky, unerringly, directly hitting Long Fei's head. This was something that would make anyone extremely unhappy. Moreover, Long Fei's heart was filled with anger. The game system was good indeed. Killing monsters and leveling up and killing monsters and dropping equipment. Without the system, he wouldn't be doing this well, but he wouldn't be in this alternate world without the system. More importantly, he thought about how the system controlled his entire being and had the authority to kill him. Long Fei was extremely unhappy in his heart. This made him feel that the sudden appearance of a bolt of lightning in the sky was a form of punishment. He had offended the creator of the system. F***ck. I don't even have a place to vent my anger, but you're still not letting me go. Alright. Then Laozi will turn against you. Long Fei's killing intent surged, as he said heavily, Green Dragon, eat it to death. Long Fei had created a super dragon armor for him, but before he could even rush to bring Long Fei to look around, he was already locked on by a bolt of lightning. In his heart, he was also filled with anger. The dragon roared, the energy waves within 1,000 kilometers roiled. The azure dragon sacred ancient once again broke through the clouds. The higher he went, the thicker the green lightning became. And it was above the clouds. It was as if it had been released from the heavens. Long Fei was even more sure that it was the system's punishment. Attack. The azure dragon ancestor lowered his eyebrows as if he had sensed something, but he didn't hesitate. He turned his massive body and once again charged into the clouds. The green lightning also came crashing down. It directly exploded above Long Fei's head. The azure dragon founder started to worry. I released the power of the dragon armor. Long Fei immediately replied, no need. It's just a mere bolt of lightning. Even if it's a heavenly tribulation lightning, I will still be able to withstand it. Long Fei locked the center of his brows, watching the green lightning strike down, his body slightly sank, and the power of Heavenly Saint burst out, forming a 2-meter thick wall. Air shield defense. Rumble. When the cyan lightning touched the air shield, it instantly shattered. An explosive attack. It was the power of the god's holy state, so it would break upon contact. Long Fei felt a chill in his heart. Damn, what a perverted attack. The air shield had shattered. Long Fei did not panic, his eyes stared at the green lightning, his hands sank slightly. Divine path. Boom. Boom. Above both fists, the divine power of the 6 forces was released. Long Fei stared at the green lightning that came crashing down. Let me see exactly how strong you are. His 2 hands moved and directly grasped it. Catch lightning. He was also constantly paying attention to Long Fei, and as long as there was the slightest bit of danger, he would definitely give his all to protect Long Fei. Forget about the perfect Long family that Long Fei made for him, even the few elders in Long Fei's body would not let him go so easily. Slash. An ear-piercing sound rang. Green sparks burst out from Long Fei's fists. The scene was like a kitchen knife chopping down a wire. Long Fei's hands became numb, at the same time his heart was trembling. Got it. He forcefully caught the lightning. Never. He can even catch lightning? Long Fei himself didn't quite believe it, but the feeling was not wrong. Furthermore, he could see the green lightning that he was tightly grabbing onto. His strength surged. Surge. He was constantly struggling and wreaking havoc in Long Fei's hands. At the same time, a powerful force wanted to pull away, escaping Long Fei's grasp. Long Fei's eyes tensed up. He did not think too much. Since you were captured by me, then get down. In an instant. The strength of Long Fei's arm increased sharply, as he gripped the cyan lightning bolt tightly and lowered it. Boom. The green lightning instantly tensed up. It turned into a straight line. It was very strange. Long Fei didn't think about it further and sank even deeper into the ground. However, the green lightning didn't even budge an inch, as if he was fishing on earth. Can't move. Could it be that your end is the sky? I'll break it for Tara too. The killing intent in Long Fei's heart did not dissipate as he grabbed onto the green lightning and jumped down from the green dragon's head. It was also at this time. The azure dragon sensed something and immediately shouted, careful, but Long Fei had already jumped off the dragon head. The azure dragon's pupils sank and it fiercely rolled its body. Without saying anything further, the azure dragon's tail suddenly started to churn, heavily slamming down from above the clouds. Hualala! 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 The air exploded. When the azure dragon great tail overturned the sky, Long Fei originally wanted to grab the green lightning to sink downwards, but he didn't expect the green lightning to suddenly move. With a heavy swing, the entire azure lightning bolt was like a whip. Long Fei's body also flew up into the clouds. It was also at this time Long Fei suddenly thought of something. It's not lightning, it's a whip. A cyan-colored magic strap. Just that, the force of the fall was extremely strong, and when it suddenly struck from above, Long Fei thought it was green lightning. Knowing that this was not lightning, Long Fei finally calmed down. Relying on the power of the magic strap, Long Fei also directly rushed into the clouds. Rumble. Rumble. With a series of loud noises, a huge palm imprint stomped down, directly stepping on the dragon tail that was flying over. At the same time, Long Fei also rushed to the top of the clouds, his eyes tensed up, and his scalp went numb. It was an extremely large elephant. Its entire body was covered with runes that were bronze in color. Ancient devil elephant. Black and White blurted out in shock. The old demon was also shocked. This is impossible. Wasn't this guy killed by me? Even if the godded devil elephant did not die, should it still be in the ancient world? Why would he appear here? An ancient beast. Extremely savage. A woman stood on the elephant's head. She held the magic strap in her hands. The moment she saw Long Fei being brought up by the magic strap to the clouds, she was also secretly shocked. His eyes widened. Rumble. The azure dragon tail was stepped on by the godded devil elephant. The azure dragon ancestor was furious. He madly rushed forward, and just as he was about to activate the power of the cast star Dragon King armor, he was also secretly shocked. Ancient devil elephant. The lady on the elephant stared at the azure dragon's sacred ancestral and thought, there's actually a dragon in the universal realm? Isn't it all suppressed by the god's tribe? It seems like his level isn't low. I wonder if Emperor Xian has any idea. If you don't know, then this is the dragon clan escaping the net. The woman's thoughts raced. Staring at Long Fei, she was secretly shocked in her heart. To actually be able to control a dragon at such a young age, it seems like he is not a simple person. It's just that his cultivation is extremely low. Do you want to kill them together? With a thought, the clouds surged. With a thought, the clouds surged. Long Fei's face tightened. Immediately, both of his hands released the magic strap and his heart sank, as he held onto the power of creation. The female elephant riding in front of him was not simple at all. She only gave Long Fei a one-word feeling: strong, unparalleled strength. He had never seen a powerhouse with a stronger aura than hers. It was as if her aura could explode his head at any time. The azure dragon patriarch rolled his body and immediately protected Long Fei. With a low voice, he said, "Ancient devil elephant, one of the 10 great ferocious beasts of ancient world." Long Fei muttered, "Ancient devil elephant? The demon beast in the ancient world? Why are you here?" Long Fei was secretly suspicious, both his eyes looking at the green-clothed lady. The spirit chi on his body was profound and unfathomable, but there was also an aura that he was extremely familiar with. Very familiar. Because he was too familiar with it, Long Fei couldn't figure it out in a moment. The green-gowned woman was startled, and said, "You actually know about ancient devil elephant. Seems like you are not a country boy. Kid. Let me ask you, is this Western Regions' territory?" Long Fei said cautiously, "It's Western Regions." The azure-dressed woman said to herself, "It seems we are here." And then, the azure-dressed woman looked at Long Fei, then looked at the azure dragon ancestor and said faintly, "You are the ancient dragon clan?" When the green-clad girl asked that question, a demonic light flashed in the deep eyes of the ancient devil elephant, directly enveloping the azure dragon's sacred ancestor. A strong sense of pressure instantly attacked him. The azure dragon ancestor coldly snorted and said, "That's right, the dragon race from the ancient world. Wasn't your ancient devil elephant killed by the dragon spirit warrior into the dark world? Just how proud was the dragon race? Even if the ancient devil elephant was fierce and tyrannical, the azure dragon sacred ancestral would definitely not submit to it at this point of time. Furthermore, there were two big shots in Long Fei's body. That was even more so. Black and White smiled faintly, expressing their satisfaction towards the azure dragon sacred ancient. The old demon also chuckled and said, "Well said." The ancient devil elephant was obviously very unhappy. Its pupils constricted and it was about to go berserk. However, at this time, the girl in cyan gently caressed and comforted it, and it once again calmed down. The green-clothed woman faintly smiled. That was hundreds of millions of years ago. Look at this. Do you think the dragon race still has any chance to speak? The dragon race is now the dogs of the gods tribe. I can't get up while being stepped on. Words brought death. The pressure on her body was not weaker than the ancient devil elephant, it was even stronger. The azure dragon patriarch's eyes narrowed, but he was unable to say anything. Indeed. Right now, the dragon tribe was being stepped on by the gods tribe and was defending the gods tribe in all four directions. The current patriarch of the dragon tribe, Long Wutian, was even more afraid to come out from the ancient world like a turtle. The dragon couldn't lift his head. Seeing that the azure dragon was unable to say anything, the green-clad girl laughed coldly. His smile was filled with contempt. Long Fei said indifferently, "Right now, God's tribe is strong, but what about in the future, can he continue to grow stronger?" The azure-dressed woman's eyes moved, she stared at Long Fei, and said, "There is still power in Universal Realm that can shake God's tribe. Let alone Universal Realm, even Ancient World does not. The God's tribe will continue to grow stronger and stronger forever. An existence that can crush the heavens." It was very domineering. This kind of domineering aura directly crushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei secretly clenched his fists, and directly said, "No one can continue to be strong forever. The current God's tribe is powerful, but..." Long Fei's gaze became determined and spirited, as he said in a heavy tone, "Sooner or later, this old man will trample God's tribe to death." As soon as he finished, the killing intent on the green-gowned woman instantly condensed into power. Her eyes stared straight at Long Fei with incomparable gloominess, and in that instant, it was as though the sky had crumbled. In Long Fei's mind, his consciousness seemed to have flipped upside down. It was very hard. It was like an ant standing in front of a giant elephant. He was actually unable to withstand it. It had to be known that once his sea of consciousness became a sea of consciousness, not even peak overlord powerhouse would be able to crush him. If the girl in front of him was able to make him do this with just her idea, then how high was her cultivation level? Surpassing the overlord realm? Sovereign realm? Long Fei felt a chill in his heart. The dragon chi on the azure dragon's sacred ancestral body moved, surrounding Long Fei. It was also at this time. The killing intent from the girl in cyan suddenly disappeared. She smiled and muttered to herself, "I'm serious now, Aya. What a terrible mentality." And then, the azure-dressed woman looked at Long Fei and said, "Everyone has a dream. Some people's dreams can be realized because of one day when you help them. Some people's dreams, such as yours, can only be a dream." He. It started to move, raising its elephant leg heavily, and stepped on it with one step. The clouds scattered, and the sky sank. Boom. Rumble. Rumble. The sound of explosions resounded through the air like thunder. After walking a few steps, the girl in green turned around to look at Long Fei, and said, "Brat, your talent is not bad, and you have to bring your dragon to join the gathering of heroes. At that time, you might even change your dream." He. After he finished speaking, the ancient devil elephant had already disappeared into the clouds. "Master, why didn't you kill him?" The ancient devil elephant asked in confusion, but his heart was actually filled with killing intent. Tens of millions of years of hibernation within the dark world. Only by breaking through the Emperor Xian would they be able to see the light of day again. However, now that the dragon race was crawling on the ground, like ruminating dogs under God's tribe's feet, and their strength was gone, he had no interest in them at all. After much difficulty, He finally encountered a Hola-level dragon and was about to crush it. However, he was stopped by his master. The green-gowned woman said indifferently, "Have you forgotten our mission to the western regions?" The ancient devil elephant slightly sunk. The azure-dressed woman continued, "The power of creation has been released, it is already within western regions, this matter needs to be dealt with well, if this person cannot be used by my god's tribe, we will kill him. I will definitely not allow anyone to threaten the god's tribe." The green-clad girl was incomparably resolute. Huff! The azure dragon ancestor let out a heavy breath, saying, "Just now, it was truly too dangerous. I don't know why the green-clad girl didn't make her move in the end." Long Fei asked, "How confident are you?" The azure dragon ancestor thought for a few seconds and said, "If I were to fight against the ancient devil elephant, I should be able to open 6 or 4 levels of power using the cast Star Dragon King armor. But against that azure-dressed woman." He did not continue. Long Fei already understood what was going on, and muttered, "Are all the people of God's tribe so strong?" He now knew why the aura of the green-clothed female was so familiar. It was because she was someone from the God's tribe. God's tribe. It was like a huge mountain crushing down on Long Fei's heart, causing him to be unable to breathe. Gathering of heroes, right? All right. The next time we meet, this old man will directly beat you up. Long Fei laughed sinisterly. Wait for this, daddy. The difficulty has really increased. The difficulty has really increased. Even the ancient devil elephant have come out. The old demon muttered, "They were obviously all killed by me. Even if they weren't all killed, those ancient devil elephant should still have never dared to come out from this dark world." He suddenly realized what Monochrome had said. The more they dare, the harder Long Fei's path would be. The appearance of the ancient devil elephant explained everything. Black and White said blandly, "Tens of millions of years of time have changed. The world now is no longer our world anymore. The dragon race is actually being stepped on by a race that has never appeared before, like a ruminant dog. This was previously unimaginable. I wonder how crazy Master would become if he knew about this." The old demon said, "If Master knew the dragon race turned out like this, the first thing he would do is destroy the dragon race and stomp that so-called God's tribe to death." The dragon race had been a failure all these years. He was once the overlord, the ruler of the ancient world, but what about now? Become the watchdog of the God's tribe. If the Master found out, wouldn't he have to crawl out from the grave? Black and White changed their tone and said, "We can't act rashly in the future. This time, the godded devil elephant has most likely appeared because of you helping him. You, the ancestor of 10,000 devils, actually allowed him to control the demonic tribulation. The consequence is..." The old demon scratched his head and said with an excited smile, "The more difficult it is to express a person's perseverance, I feel that it is not a bad thing to be a little more difficult, so next time I will still be the same." Black and White. To the Black White and the old devil, the appearance of the ancient devil elephant was because they had interfered too much, but to Long Fei, it was because the system didn't like him. However, it was no longer important. The most important thing was that the powerhouse of God's tribe had appeared. Should he think of a way to kill it? The green-clothed girl's level was unfathomable. If he overturned her, then he should be able to drop a good item that would raise him by quite a few levels, right? Rumble. The azure dragon sacred ancestral brought Long Fei to the ground. Coincidentally landed on the Saints' Hill. The Saints' Hill held over 70 to 80 bodies, and after Long Fei landed, the inside of the Saints' Temple was completely silent, and in the end, all of them kneeled and walked out. Yuan Tianwang also walked out. There were a few wounds on his body, but the elders of the heaven beside him were all seriously injured. Yuan Tianwang said, "Young Master Long, everything has been taken care of." Long Fei took a glance at the heavenly sacred elders and said softly, "Stop being so cocky, just taking care of you all is just a matter of time." Understood. One of the heavenly saint elders immediately kneeled down and said, "Young Master Long, we were wrong, we will never dare to do it again. From now on, you are Fatri sect master." Long Fei waved his hand and said, "Not interested." If it were not for the fact that they did not have much experience, Long Fei would have killed them all. Then, Long Fei replied, returning to the immortal's residence. With one step on the dragon's head, the green dragon flipped and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Those heavenly saint elders were even more frightened, trembling. Yuan Tianwang said coldly, "Did you hear that? If you continue to brag, watch out for your heads." Back at the immortal estate, Long Fei once again released the dense power of true spirit. Next, the people from the immortal estate began to cultivate once more. Supreme powerhouse. How should I deal with it? That woman. He had to have a body, a protruding front and back, and he had to be so tall and cold, God's tribe woman. Long Fei was a little unhappy just thinking about the cold and arrogant expression of the girl in green. I wish I could strip her of her clothes. It made her cold and proud. Let her be aloof. However, to strip her of her clothes was not an ordinary feat. There must be countless powerhouse in Gathering of Heroes. Is she the only one who represents them? Or are there some other powerhouse of God's tribe? Long Fei muttered. Powerhouse of God's tribe has power of ancient inheritance on him. All of them are incomparably valiant. If it explodes. Long Fei secretly clenched his fists, took out 18 fairy order, and said, right now, the only thing that can increase my strength is probably these fairy order. The last time he went through the inheritance instance dungeon of the Oatutsuki Hagoromo, Long Fei did not look at the fairy order again. His intuition told him that there was more than one instance dungeon for the Oatutsuki Hagoromo S. There must be other instance dungeons, and the power within each one was extremely strong. If he could get through all of them, Long Fei placed the 18 fairies medallion in front of him, as expected. One of the fairy order let out a golden exclamation mark. Long Fei became excited and immediately grabbed the fairy order, sensing it slightly. The system beeped. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for activating God Dusk. Do you wish to enter? Holy Sha *T. Goddess Dusk. Long Fei felt a chill in his heart. You're playing it big. System, you really like it when Lousy dies, right? Then I'll let you see your fill. Long Fei did not immediately enter the secret world. Instead, he spoke a few words to Tan De Pao and the others, telling them not to disturb him. Actually, entering the instance dungeon was not his physical body, but rather his idea. It was just that this idea was like his real body in the instance dungeon. Just like entering a game world. That was why it could be revived without end. There are still 8 days until the Gathering of Heroes. These 8 days will definitely be enough time to clear this instance dungeon. Enter. Long Fei moved his body and directly entered the center of the fairy order. The moment they entered the fairy order, smoke filled the sky. The world was collapsing, gods were falling, statues of gods were collapsing, and streams of divine force were dissipating. The place Long Fei stood on was a sea of lava, falling from the sky and directly falling into the lava. Ding. Challenge failed. Hoo. Long Fei gasped for breath heavily. Fuck. He still hadn't figured out what was going on, and he didn't know that if he were to pass, he would directly die. The difficulty was not as high as the Oatutsuki Hagoromo instance dungeons. Long Fei carefully analyzed and muttered, to be able to instantly melt my astral body, this magma fire is definitely not simple. Again, Long Fei entered once again. Hualala. Once again falling into the endless sea of magma. Long Fei looked around, meeting with the ability to fly, but he was not given any chance. It was as if there was a huge suction force in the magma that sucked him in again. Gulp. After a few bubbles of fire emerged, Long Fei's body turned into ashes once again. This feeling was extremely difficult to bear. It was as if his primordial spirit was being burned to death. Again, Long Fei felt that the sea of lava was strange, so he didn't resist. After entering the lava ocean, he charged straight towards it, but then a ball of flame appeared on his left hand. Underworld fire, ancient inheritance, super force of Ming clan. Elder swordsman once said that you can cultivate whatever ancient inheritance you want, just because it's fire. Underworld fire was also a type of fire. Facing this magma fire that burned through all hell, he would use it to cultivate his underworld fire. Rumble. The underworld fire flourished and directly surrounded Long Fei. As he jumped into the lava, a strange scene occurred. God's tribe, Emperor Xian. God's tribe, Emperor Xian. He was there. It was very clear how the curse runes on Long Fei's body came to be. It was the mark of the Emperor Xian. It was like branding a mark on a slave so that he could hunt and kill them. The old demon thought hard and said, Emperor Xian? You've never heard of it. Where do you think you're from? Black and White said, he should be the #1 powerhouse, the one who controls the proliferation of all of the ancient world's power. 90% of the ancient inheritance's power is controlled by him. Holy **T. 90% power of ancient inheritance. The old demon was shocked. There were very few things that could shock him, so 90% of the power of ancient inheritance was a little scary. 90% of the power inheritance also meant that he could control 90% of the resources in the ancient world. The ancient world was the mother world, she was a genuine high-level plane, and the energy that flourished inside was the strongest. The universal realm's heavenly Tao true spirit, the low-level spirit energy, essence, and all sorts of cultivation heaven and earth energy were all multiplied and produced by the ancient world, controlling 90% of the ancient inheritance's power. It could be described with one word, terror. The old devil said, I never thought that such an awesome person would actually appear after we fell. Even our master did not control so many power of ancient inheritance back then. Black and White said, Master simply disdains to control the other power of ancient inheritance. The old demon said, true, one of his powers is enough to destroy 10,000. The 10,000 force he mentioned was not any ordinary power, but the power of ancient inheritance. Old bastard, let's not talk about this anymore. What will happen if the curse mark on his body explodes? Right now, he just wanted to know what would happen to Long Fei. If something were to happen to his body, wouldn't that mean he would lose all his face? The exalted ancestral demonic lord's host body had actually died. Then would he still have the face to continue in the future? Black and White said, there won't be any problems with him, but God's tribe will receive his curse mark. If it's so strong, they will probably send people to kill him. Emperor Xian sent a 10,000 world chasing order. Hearing this, the old devil became excited. Ha ha ha. The 10,000 worlds chasing order? Just to kill him? Was there a need to worry? What's there to worry about? Come. No matter how many arrive, I will make him die. I want to see if there are people in this world who aren't afraid of death. Heh heh. As long as there was a fight, as long as someone was killed, the old devil would boil. He would not care about the consequences, nor would he care about what kind of powerhouse he met. However, Black and White were different. He awakened before the old devil. He knew clearly that the system of power in this world was much more perfect than the primal chaos world he lived in back then. Furthermore, he didn't want to interfere with Long Fei too much, which made the road behind Long Fei become more and more difficult. The godded devil elephant said everything. He could not help but secretly tighten the space between his eyebrows. Phew. He gently exhaled a breath of air. Then, Black and White said solemnly, Devil Tree, I want to borrow your body. Without waiting for the ancient Devil Tree to agree, the black and white power surged into the body of the tree. The ancient Devil Tree grunted, is this called borrowing? Buzz. A loud explosion rang out. The powerful ancient devil liquid was released, forming streams of liquid that covered Long Fei's body and crazily absorbed the power within. Boom. Boom. The light of the curse mark slowly dimmed by quite a bit. But it did not disappear. Moreover, the curse mark on Long Fei's body grew more and more powerful. The black and white idea retracted its head and let out a heavy sigh. The ancient devil tree seemed to have become impotent in an instant. Its entire body was shriveled up and its body could not withstand the black and white consumption at all. However, the ancient devil tree didn't have any complaints. As long as he could save Long Fei, he wouldn't frown even if he were to die. The spring of life quickly released its power on the ancient devil tree. With the nourishment from the spring of life, the ancient devil tree stabilized itself slightly. The old demon laughed, old ghost, You still say that you can't, aren't you controlling the situation? How can a dignified emperor of the seal be weak? Black and White rolled their eyes at the old devil, and said, I am only lowering the strength of the curse mark to its lowest level, and am unable to conceal it. This world. The Black and White curse mark were very strong. That God's tribe is definitely not an ordinary person. God's tribe, shrine. A few old men with white hair opened their eyes at the same time. With a flash of light, they looked at each other and said, We are in Western regions. God's tribe curse mark. Although it's not very strong, we have to take the people that Emperor Xian wants to kill seriously. Western regions. Wasn't Qingyi already gone? If the curse mark is not strong, it should not be a thorny problem. Even if it is thorny, with Qingyi's strength in the mortal world, not many people would be able to stop her. An old man said lightly. They just detected Emperor Xian curse mark. For such people, they would immediately issue a killing order. Because every single one of the curse marks were people that the Emperor Xian wanted to kill. Just like the one Hades wanted to kill, the name on the Book of Life and Death had already been added. How could he let him live? Qingyi is quite strong. However, for the sake of safety, allow the godly wings and the tiger might to go together. Senior brother, aren't you taking this a bit too seriously? A single cyan robe is already enough to destroy this Western regions, and you even sent out divine wings and tiger might. Yeah, there's no need. The old man said indifferently, a while ago, there were continuous fluctuations at the exit of ancient world and 2 powerhouses have already come out. Don't forget about Violet Gold Godguard. Everyone's faces darkened. The entire legion was completely wiped out. Not even the body was recovered. If it was such a person, they would have to deal with him seriously. As senior brother wishes. Someone, come. Send orders to God Wings and Tiger Might. Have them make a trip to Western regions and meet up with Qingyi first before making any plans. Also, before Emperor Xian entered the ancient world, he specially instructed me to find the person who cultivated the power of creation. As long as I found him, I must bring him back to the heavenly palace. Understood. In another part of the heavenly palace, the 2 ancient fierce beasts let out a roar and directly vanished into the sky. Within the wash sky pool, several huge dragons laid on the ground silently, and Green Dragon Ancestor's pupils slightly twitched. And Long Fei. He did not know what was happening to his body in reality, nor did he care. He would not miss this chance to raise his ancient inheritance. But there was one thing he could be sure of. That was, he felt really good right now. Because the super force of Ming Clan was still constantly becoming stronger. Rumble. Within the imprint, the super force of Ming Clan underwent another powerful change. Ding. System notification. Super force of Ming Clan has been upgraded. Ding. System notification. Super force of Ming Clan has broken through the 5th layer, Emperor of Underworld. The super force of Ming Clan had broken through yet again. The super force of Ming Clan had broken through yet again. He directly went from the Dark Puppet to a Emperor of Underworld, and he had already stepped into the 5th level. Long Fei's mind tightened. He was indescribably excited. From the moment he obtained the super force of Ming Clan, he had been thinking about how to improve it, but he had been unable to find a way. Now, he had continuously broken through 2 levels. 5 levels. Come. Let me see your strength. As soon as he finished, Long Fei's eyes flashed with a light aura. The power of the super force of Ming Clan on his body changed drastically. The super force of Ming Clan surged and released the black light that the Dark Puppet was releasing, its body suddenly changing. Its size doubled. His shriveled body also became thicker and more imposing. The Emperor of Underworld moved and directly grabbed a gigantic skeleton staff from the void. With a shake of the staff, the ocean of lava, which was tens of thousands of meters wide, was swept out. Rumble. Rumble. Shocking waves crashed against the shore. The scene was cool and charming. Awesome. The strength of the Emperor of Underworld was completely different. Even if the Overlord Stronger Man was in front of him now, Pluto's staff would probably be able to instantly kill him. The power was simply too great. At this moment, The black pupils of the Emperor of Underworld darkened as a pitch-black light flashed through them. It was as if two black holes had suddenly started to revolve, trying to devour everything. Hualala. He raised his staff, and the air began to emit explosive sounds. Long Fei raised his eyes to look at the Emperor of Underworld, and muttered, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" He grabbed the staff and suddenly smashed it into the endless sea of magma. Without any warning, he attacked with full force. The sea of magma was directly split apart, revealing a 10,000-kilometer-long ravine filled with raging power. Rumble. Rumble. Incomparable shock. In the distance, two gigantic bull horns slowly rose up from the lava as golden light shot out in all directions. Long Fei's eyes were wide opened, drool almost flowing out of his mouth. F***K. Boss. Magma flowed down from the horns and the body of the magma slowly stood up. The body of the magma was black and bright as well. There were cracks all over the body of the magma. After his entire body stood up, Long Fei lifted his head and swallowed. "My darling. This is way too damn big, right? The sky." He could barely see the end of it. Let alone Long Fei, even giant Emperor of Underworld were like ants in front of it. How big was this? Long Fei grinned, looked at the Emperor of Underworld by the side, and muttered, "Why don't we leave first?" Before he could finish, the Emperor of Underworld moved, dragging the magic staff on the ground like a spear. Flames flew in all directions. He rushed forward. Damn, he's got a bad temper too. Long Fei was not idle. Seeing that the Emperor of Underworld had made its move, he had rushed out as well. It doesn't exist. Rumble. Rumble. The blood-red sky emitted a series of explosions, and the sky suddenly sank. A piece of sky was torn apart. Both of the ox-headed man's arms swelled, and he smashed the sky that was torn down. At the same time, he roared, roar. The sound waves were like waves. They came crashing down, wave after wave. Long Fei's body sank, and his scalp turned numb. The Emperor of Underworld's speed did not decrease, but instead increased. With one step, it flew 10,000 meters away, landing heavily on the body of the Tauren. Without attacking him, it rushed into the sky even faster. Boom, boom, boom. With each step, black flames appeared. A straight black footprint appeared on the Minotaur's body. Rumble. The sky suddenly smashed. The wind raged, and Long Fei's body was instantly crushed down. He could not even straighten his body, the skin on his face moved, his hair flew out horizontally as he looked at the sky above him. Damn, I have never died like this before, and been crushed to death by the heavens. He was powerless to resist. All the strength in his body was being suppressed. Moreover, this Minotaur should be one of the Hell's undead in the Western world. The creator of the Twilight of Gods. This type of boss was even more ferocious than the ones found in the Oatutuki Hagoromo instance dungeons. There's no chance at all. Long Fei was unwilling to give up. However, just as the torn-apart sky was about to smash onto Long Fei's head, the sky suddenly cracked, and the ox-head man let out a tragic cry. It was incomparably painful. His body sank and he kneeled heavily on the floor. Bam! Rumble, rumble, rumble. Its body collapsed, and its two horns were broken. Not only that, a huge crater appeared on top of its head, and lava continued to shoot out. His head had been smashed open. When the Tauren fell, the Emperor of Underworld held its staff as if it was standing at the peak of the world, extremely tyrannical. Amazing. Long Fei let out an excited laugh. The battle strength of the Emperor of Underworld was shocking. The Minotaur was completely killed by his hammer. Moreover, the Emperor of Underworld looked very relaxed. Long Fei said excitedly, "Overlord Realm? Ha ha ha. I am afraid that I will only be able to die instantly. Right now, even the would have to think it over carefully. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing undead Tauren. Rewards, 100 million experience points, 100 million true spiritual value, 0 universal value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Undying Ox Horn, 1 billion experience. It was great, but nothing happened. There was only a pair of Undying Ox Horns left. Long Fei was a little puzzled and said, "Isn't this boss a little too poor? Just this one item dropped. There's a hammer. Too bad." Just as the head of the undying cow fell to the ground, the endless sea of magma rapidly dried up. Finally, it completely disappeared and turned into dry land. In the distance, a black tower towered between the heavens and earth. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for passing the first round. Long Fei said slightly, "This time's first stage? F***CK. He had thought that the undying ox would be able to clear the instant's dungeon after its head had died. He did not expect it to be only the first test. Long Fei looked at the dark tower and stepped onto it. Arriving at the front of the dark tower, Long Fei looked at the Emperor of Underworld beside him and said, "It's time for your performance." The Emperor of Underworld stepped into the Tower of Darkness. Long Fei followed him in. Statue of the gods in the Dark Tower, War God Ars, Goddess of Wisdom, Goddess of Fate. The last one was the Universe Emperor Zeus. All the gods of the Western world are here. However, they were all dark. The instant Long Fei stepped into the Great Hall, the black statues instantly fell, and at the same time, Long Fei's pupils contracted fiercely. Bosses, they are all bosses. The entire dark hall shone with an endless purple light in Long Fei's eyes. It was incomparably dazzling. "I'm rich. Ha ha ha. I'm rich. Emperor of Underworld, explode and kill them all." Long Fei looked as if he had been injected with blood. His face was glowing red. The Emperor of Underworld slightly moved. In that instant, bam! Ars War God sword moved, sending the Emperor of Underworld flying. Boom! The Emperor of Underworld flew out of the dark tower and its body shattered into pieces. Without waiting for Long Fei to release the super force of Ming Clan again, dozens of pairs of eyes from the dark god stared at him closely. Dozens of eyes were staring at Long Fei, not making a move, and not moving an inch as they stared at him. Dozens of eyes were staring at Long Fei, not making a move, and not moving an inch as they stared at him. He felt scared and his scalp went numb. Long Fei was like a piece of meat on a chopping block, surrounded by dozens of boning knives. That feeling. He even had the heart to die. Ladies and gentlemen, if I were to tell you that I am just passing by to make soy sauce, would you believe me? Long Fei laughed awkwardly. Even the Emperor of Underworld was killed by Ars in one move. His small body was not a match for Ars. Even if he had to go all out, Long Fei would have to pay an extremely heavy price. At least, the power of creation would be used up by him. It was only one instant's dungeon. If he could not clear it now, he could only try once more. He would not be able to use up his creation power anymore. He could forget about capturing the system's bug again. Hee. Zeus smirked. The next second, Long Fei immediately returned to the celestial residence. Phew. He let out a deep breath. Damn you. In that moment, Long Fei was instantly killed. However, his heart throbbed with excitement. Dozens of super bosses. After blowing them all up, your father, will definitely be able to break through the Overlord realm, but those fellows are too strong. Long Fei was still thinking about how to blow up the dark gods in the dark tower, and he felt a burning sensation at the bottom of his neck. He was stunned, and immediately felt the curse mark runes on his body. This kind of reaction would also appear on one's own body. The King Emperor Xian. Long Fei replied heavily. The ancient devil tree said weakly, "Boss, it's fortunate that you came out. Otherwise, you really wouldn't be able to hold on." The Spring of Life told Long Fei what happened just now. He did not mention the matter of Black and White. This was something that Black and White had purposely hidden from the Spring of Life. Long Fei secretly clenched his fists, and said, "Devil Tree, thank you very much." The body of the ancient devil trembled as it said, "Serving boss is my greatest honor. I'll be more careful next time." Long Fei still had some lingering fear in his heart, as he did not dare to use the power of the ancient inheritance for too long a period of time. If he could not use the power of the ancient inheritance, then killing all the bosses in the Dark Tower would be even more impossible. At this moment, Lan Mai stood outside the room and said softly, "Big brother Long Fei, it's about time." Long Fei raised his eyes, thought for a while, then walked out of the room, and said, "How many days have had it been?" Lan Mai said, 3 days have already passed, and there are still 6 days left to Gathering of Heroes. Our journey will take 3 days, we need to make arrangements in advance. She looked at Long Fei and whispered, "I can feel the chi of the god's tribe." Long Fei's gaze tensed up. When he looked at Lan Mai again, he discovered that Lan Mai's cultivation had already broken through the Overlord realm, and had reached the 3rd level of the Overlord. This speed. Terrifying. Descendant of Holy General, vein of blue water, her potential and talent was too strong. Even Long Fei could only look up to her for her speed of cultivation. It was as if she did not have any shackles around her that allowed her to go berserk. The higher her realm, the more powerful her vein of blue water's power would be. The fact that a celestial being could sense the aura of the powerhouse of God's tribe was truly amazing. Long Fei said, "This time, the Gathering of Heroes was the one who made it. They probably want to recruit some talents." The Sky Sect of Ling Clan was in order to recruit all sorts of geniuses. The Sky Sect of Ling Clan was a place where talents gathered. Be it in the lower planes or the universal realm, it was the same. The Sky Sect of Ling Clan was an organization that selected exceptional talents for the god's tribe. He was continuously sending fresh blood to the god's tribe. This was also the reason. Only by continuously absorbing talents from all realms would the god's tribe be able to make its power so strong. It would be able to stand at the summit of the primordial universe for billions of years without being able to shake it. It was just that. This time, the Sky Sect of Ling Clan selection made Long Fei feel different. Especially that green-clothed lady riding the elephant. Her power was extremely strong, and she was not an ordinary powerhouse of God's tribe. It was impossible for a small Sky Sect of Ling Clan to send out this kind of powerhouse. There must be a deeper meaning behind it. Long Fei's heart secretly stirred. "Could it be that you've discovered me?" Lan Mai looked at Long Fei, who was deep in thought, and stood quietly at the side, not uttering a sound. Susu jumped up and down, happily running up the mountain like a little butterfly, and said, "Big brother Long Fei, we are all ready, let's go kill everyone." Long Fei raised her eyes and looked at Susu. She also stepped into the late stage of the Heavenly Saint realm and said, "All right, let's go massacre everyone around us." Not just the 2 of them. Compared to 10 days ago, when Long Fei brought back the elderly, weak, and handicapped, all of them had now become peak Western Regions S. The weakest among them was at the Emperor realm. Most of them were God's holy state S. The changes brought by the astral chi on Long Fei's body were too drastic. They had not heard of the breakthrough during this period, and it had been going wild all the time. When they saw Long Fei, all of them became agitated and shouted, "Lord Yong Master Long." Long Fei said, "That's right, you did not disappoint me. However, your current strength is still not strong enough. If you want the Fatri sect to dominate the Western regions, each and every one of you must break through to the Overlord realm. I believe that you all will definitely be able to enter the Overlord realm in the future." An old man said, "As long as there is the spirit energy released from your body, we believe that we will definitely be able to break through to Overlord realm." That's right. The power of the Young Master Long Lord is too strong. You are our benefactor. Not to mention the Western regions, the entire world will be shocked. All of them were incomparably excited. Long Fei said, "Cultivating is all on your own. I will give you all a chance within 10 days to embark on the new cultivation path and give you all a strong talent and potential, but your luck has run out, and the rest of the road is up to you. I'm going to the Gathering of Heroes, you guys stay. When I return, I want to see all of you unite the scattered Fatri sect. If I can't do it, then you don't have the qualifications to continue to stay here. There is no free lunch in the world." Long Fei allowed them to go from the lowest level of warriors to the top of warriors, but it did not mean that they could live on in peace. They had to show their strength, or else what was the point of having a level? Long Fei was not a bodhisattva. Last time in the Saints' Hill, he didn't attack those people because he wanted to leave it for them. It was a test. Compared to the people of the 8 Peaks, these people were slightly weaker and fewer in strength. However, this was a challenge. After everyone heard Long Fei's words, many of them secretly clenched their fists and said, "Young Master Long, don't worry. When you return, we will definitely unite Fatry sect." Long Fei said, "All right, you can begin now. Su Su, Lan Mai, Canon, Leah, we're leaving. Uncle Crazy Wolf, you will be the guardian of the Immortals' residence." The Crazy Wolf looked at Long Fei and said, "Aren't the 5 of you going too few? I'm worried." Long Fei slightly smiled and said, 5? Hee. It's far more than that. Gathering of Heroes, a clash of geniuses within the Western regions. Gathering of Heroes, a clash of geniuses within the Western regions. While the large sects were dividing up their territories, it was also the time for the geniuses of the various sects to perform. It was a secret battle. It was also a battle of brute force. Whoever used the strongest power, whoever had the strongest power would receive the most respect from the other sects in the Western regions. It was the same for every single world. Powerhouse was the king. This was the immutable law. 2 days later, Long Fei was on the left side, Lan Mai was on the right, and behind him was a Shenyuan Li with skin as white as snow. She had secretly followed him, so Long Fei could only bring her along. These 3 women were incredibly beautiful. Lan Mai's blue, Su Su's mischievousness, Shenyuan Li's whiteness. It could be said that the 3 of them were all different, but without a doubt, they were all first-rate beauties. They were existences that people would never forget just by looking at them. As for Tan De Pao, under normal circumstances, whenever Long Fei went somewhere, he would go there first and investigate everything. The list of Powerhouse S. Just like the scouts from his previous world, with Tan De Pao moving forward, Long Fei would be able to save a lot of trouble. Other than Tan De Pao, there were still people following Long Fei. Yi Mai's 3 sisters and the sword slave with the blade master's back. While the Immortals' cave was cultivating, they had also been hiding in the darkness, protecting Long Fei at all times. At the same time, they were also absorbing the aura released from Long Fei's body to cultivate. The current Yi Mai and the edge of the sword had also become stronger. One of them took the 3 beauties on a sightseeing trip, eating and drinking to their heart's content. "Look, it's the West Heaven Gate up ahead," Su Su suddenly pointed ahead. There were 2 gigantic deities in the clouds, standing on 2 sides of a river, like a gigantic stone door. The deity statue exuded a godly aura. One held his sword while the other held his shield. It was intimidating at first glance. Long Fei was also secretly shocked in his heart. "There's actually a little bit of divine might," Su Su said. "The Western Heaven Gate leads to the entrance of the Western regions. That large river flowed out of the North Desert Domain, and 2 god statues stand guard, preventing the North Desert Domainess from invading. I've always wanted to come here and take a look. It's too grand. My father once said that those 2 statues were around 100,000 meters tall. It is said that the 2 strongest powerhouses have reached the god realm." Long Fei said, "They do have a bit of divine might, but it's for a long time. The divine power and spiritual energy in their bodies have mostly dissipated." The statue fell. There were cracks everywhere. Originally, the deity statue might be powerful enough to defend against enemies, but now, it was most likely just a statue. A god's holy state powerhouse would already be able to destroy them. Lan Mai continued, "Seems like we will be there soon. After passing through the Western Heaven Gate, we will enter the Destiny sect's territory." Shenyuan Li continued, "This year, a Destiny son of God appeared. I heard that he's the #1 genius of the Western regions and possesses the strength of 2 hierarchs." Su Su grinned, "No matter how strong I am, I'm not as strong as big brother Long Fei." Hee. Long Fei looked at Su Su and asked, "What do you want this time?" There was always a purpose in trying to please her. Su Su said, "My dream after growing up will be to pass under the feet of the 2 deity statues. Big brother Long Fei, let's take the boat. Can you fulfill my wish?" "How many wishes have you had all this way?" Long Fei smiled and said, "From the moment you were 3 years old, you already have dozens of wishes in the past 2 days. Eating candied fruits is a wish. Being a flying eagle is also a wish. It's all a wish to fly a kite. How old do you want to go through the statue? Su said in all seriousness. My wish of 2.5 years old. Long Fei. I really can't do anything to you. All right. Then take the boat and go through. While they were talking, Long Fei and the other 3 landed from the sky, as they flew towards a pier by the river. There was a large ship docked on the dock. The ship owner was constantly calling out to the passengers on board and collecting them. The smile on his face was like the smile of a Maitreya Buddha. This year's Gathering of Heroes business is too good. If only it was held in the Destiny sect every year, then I would have sent it, ha ha ha. The captain was elated. Esteemed guests. Please, I can tell that you are a genius participating in the Gathering of Heroes. Quick, invite him in. The other youths were also overjoyed, directly giving him a bag of grand mist crystals. The ship owner smiled and narrowed his eyes. The pier was packed with people, bustling with noise and excitement. The guest ship carrying the human and the goods were all prepared for the Gathering of Heroes. Long Fei and the other 2 immediately became the focus of attention when they reached the pier. As long as there were people around, it would be hard for 3 beauties to suddenly appear, even if they didn't want to be the center of attention. There were many beauties in the foreign world, but they were not the type that would be common. The more ugly ones were the ordinary beauties, and now that 3 beauties had suddenly appeared, the crowd couldn't help but brighten up. Wow, it's so beautiful. She's really pretty. I've never seen such a beautiful woman in my life. If you could give me one, I would be willing to sacrifice 10 years of my life. F***ck, Zhong Laro-san, with your looks, you can burn incense even if you marry someone as beautiful as a flower. You can't even dream of having such a woman. The pier suddenly became lively, and only then did a few people move towards Su and the other 2. Of course. As for Long Fei, no one cared. At most, he was just a flower guardian. Beauty, are you going to watch the battle in Gathering of Heroes? I'll go with you along the way, won't we? Beauty, I am the first disciple of the Jade Mountain sect. Together with me, I can bring you into the Gathering of Heroes and see the Destiny Son of God. Beauty, I am the messenger of the Destiny sect, as long as you follow me. No, 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 no. All sorts of good-looking men and men with good self-esteem walked in front of the 3 of them, but the 3 of them didn't even spare them a glance. They only had their eyes on Long Fei. In order to drive away these annoying flies, Su directly grabbed onto Long Fei's hand. Lan Mai also held onto his other hand, and then grabbed onto Shenyuan Li Er's hand. The 3 women looked at Long Fei with deep emotions. Suddenly, all sorts of sounds of attacks were aimed at Long Fei. F***ck. Flowers in cow dung. Cow dung. Damn it. Pig dung, elephant dung. My heart. For such an ugly person to have 3 beauties at the same time, my God, this is too unfair. Many people could not resist wanting to attack Long Fei. If looks could kill, then Long Fei would have been reduced to dust, not even his bones could be found. Su whispered, Big brother Long Fei, are you feeling really good? Long Fei laughed, average. We'll make a big room tonight and then. Just as Long Fei was about to act evilly, a group of people dressed in blood-red armor appeared behind him. They are from the Seas sect. People of the Seas sect. People of the Seas sect. Quick, quick. Woo woo. Cluck, cluck. All kinds of panic, all kinds of flying chickens, the crying of children, the sound of hurried footsteps. The crowded pier suddenly spread out in all directions, and quite a few people fell into the water. The geniuses, beauties, and disciples of the large sects who had gathered in front of Su and the other 2 earlier all hurriedly retreated to the side, not daring to look at the disciples clad in blood-red armor directly. Seas sect. The sect of Blood Monk. It was originally a first-rate sect, and its strength was mediocre within the western regions, but in less than a month, the Seas sect was synonymous with death. Terrifying. Powerful. He was even more ruthless than the devil sect. Everywhere he went, he died, and other than death, there was also death. Not only that, there was even a corpse. Some people also said that the current Seas sect was not the old Seas sect at all, but a devil sect. Blood clothing, blood armor, and a blood helmet. It was hard to see his appearance. The 4 disciples rode their huge devil cloud horses to the entrance of the dock and swept their eyes across the crowd. Everyone on the dock was shivering with fear. Then it slowly quieted down. Only a few children were forced to cry by the gloomy aura. "W.A., W.A." The woman covered the child's mouth tightly and kept kowtowing. "I'm sorry, my lord, my lord." The child was still frantically struggling and crying. A disciple's eyes turned cold as they locked onto the woman. The woman trembled even more. Her face was incomparably pale and her head was bleeding. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." He kept apologizing. However, the blood-armored man's eyes narrowed. With a movement of the horsewhip in his hand, he swept out with it. Ruthlessness, a killing intent emanated from him. And there was no trace of sympathy in his eyes. The whip moved, causing an explosive sound to ring in the air. When this whip lashed out, the women and children's heads would be severed. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Lan Mai turned his right hand over and sucked a dried-up leaf off the ground. Shua. He released a stream of chi. Pa. The whip directly broke, and it landed on the woman's head. At this moment, the green poison on the whip dispersed, and her hair immediately ignited. It was extremely painful, but the woman tightly held the child under her, not daring to make the slightest sound. The spirit force in Susu's hand moved, and a cure was released. The venom disappeared and the wound was healed. When faced with injustice, they would draw swords to help. The next woman and child should be thanked, but no one thanked them, and no one cheered either. Instead, countless pairs of eyes stared fiercely at the two of them, as if there was a deep grudge between them. A man said solemnly, "If you want to die, we don't want to die. You saved them both, but you're going to kill everyone here. Do you know?" They were all glaring at him with hatred. It was also at this time. The blood-armored disciple with the broken whip coldly said, "Die." In an instant. The moment his aura appeared, it seemed to spread outward like a mist of blood. It was also at this time. A few men ran out and said, "It's them, it's the two of them. It has nothing to do with us. For sirs, you can just kill them." Before he could finish his words, a head fell to the ground. His eyes were filled with rage, and he died with grievance. He didn't even know that he had died like this. Immediately, the scene was even more panicky. They were fleeing in every direction. However, no matter how much they tried to flee, they were unable to escape the blood mist. It was like a special formation, they were simply unable to leave. The 4 blood-armored disciples bent their legs and the huge devil cloud horse slowly moved forward. The man with the broken whip lightly waved his hand and jumped down from the horse. He walked in front of the woman and slashed down with his sword. Crack! An explosive sound. His armor shattered. His body split into 2. The blood mist's aura lessened a bit. The other 3 blood-armored disciples saw their pupils tighten, but they had no idea what had just happened. When they wanted to react, crack, crack, crack. 3 consecutive explosions. The sound of 3 pieces of armor breaking rang out. The bloody mist dissipated. There were 4 corpses on the dock, and each one of them was split in 2. It was worth noting that their bodies were incomparably shriveled, just like zombies. There were even maggots crawling out of their bodies. With the deaths of the 4 blood armor warriors, the pier was slightly quiet. Following that, they fell into an even greater panic. In just half a minute, a large portion of the people on the dock had already dispersed, leaving behind only the disciples who were still wearing their sect's clothes. They all looked at each other. Some people jumped out in disdain, and said, "What Seas sect, what blood-armored disciple? In my opinion, it's just bullshit, and it's not even just being killed in one move. TCH. Trash. So weak. I thought he was very strong. If I had known earlier, I would have showed off my skills in front of beauties." Sigh. I missed the chance. Who did it? The previous few moves were really beautiful. Although I wasn't able to see them clearly, I have to say, the moves were really beautiful. It's just that. Brother, you better leave as soon as possible. Don't implicate us. Many people looked at Long Fei. However, seeing Long Fei's expression, she immediately ignored him. Lan Mai said in a low voice, Big brother Long Fei, was it you? Long Fei shook his head. Su Su shook, and said, It's not you. I thought it was you, but the moves just now were very sharp. This is not something that an ordinary sword arts powerhouse can do. Long Fei said softly, It's not a few moves, it's one move. Lan Mai's brows tightened, and said, One move? Her attention had been completely focused on Blood Armor Warrior just now, so she hadn't paid too much attention to the powerhouse who had made a move just now. Long Fei nodded his head, 1 move, 4 kills, and it looks like 4 moves, that's the most obvious thing, and also. Long Fei's gaze wavered. He actually did not clearly see who had made the move just now. Just now, the crowd had been in a panic and was rushing about everywhere. He had only seen a man who looked like a swordsman pull out his sword slightly, and then 4 people fall. Just 1 move. The existence of bullshit Plath. Seems like the gathering of heroes is really a crouching tiger and hidden dragon. Alright then, the more powerhouse there are, the better it will be for me. Long Fei secretly thought that he was becoming more interested in the gathering of heroes. Not long later, dozens of disciples riding devil cloud horses quickly rushed over. They didn't even glance at the corpses on the ground. In the center of the group, there was a man who was incomparably sinister and evil. His eyes never left the 2 idols of the Western Heaven Gate. It was also at this time. Shenyuan Li Er's expression tightened, and said, Ju Yuan. It's Ju Yuan. It's Ju Yuan. Shenyuan Li Er's gaze immediately tensed up. At this moment, a killing intent rose in Long Fei's heart. Su Su and Lan Mai also became cautious. Get out of the way. Get out of the way, Blood Armor Warrior said coldly, his voice overcast. In the crowd, Ju Yuan's eyes were filled with contempt, and there was even that dark red devil light. Shenyuan Li said slightly, Could it be that he has gone through the devil tribulation again? If not for this, it would be impossible for him to possess such a powerful devil intent. That's not right. If he succeeded in transcending the tribulation, then the devilish will from his body would probably be killed by his divine will. He did not succeed in his tribulation at all, and directly fell into the demonic way. However, the demonic chi on his body is completely different from the aura on the people of Magic Tribe, so Shenyuan Li couldn't understand. However, at this time, Long Fei's figure had already disappeared. Shenyuan Li Er's gaze tensed up. Lan Mai's eyes were also startled, as he protected Su Su behind him, and whispered, Be careful. It's the Blood Armor group. It's Ju Yuan, the son of Factory Sect's sect master Ju Daoren. Why did he also join the Sea's sect? Join? He was saved by someone, otherwise he would have died in the Factory sect long ago. Don't say anything. You all want to die, but I don't want to die. Those who stayed on the pier all quietly retreated to the side, not daring to breathe, much less look at Blood Armor Warrior. Compared to the 4 Blood Armor Warriors from before, these Blood Armors were the truly terrifying people. The dock was silent. No one dared to speak. Ju Yuan enjoyed the feeling of crushing everything in his path, so what if he was bedeviled? So what if he became a demon slave? As long as he could control his strength, as long as he was strong, it didn't matter even if he turned into an animal. Moreover, as long as you are strong enough, even if you are a dog, others will still fear you. This was reality. Ju Yuan looked at everything with a cold smile, and suddenly, his eyes darkened as he stared at the 3 women in front of him. His eyes flashed with a trace of light, Factory Sect's people, Sister Li. At this moment, Ju Yuan frowned, and his body fiercely shot out. Hualala. Rumble. In the exact spot where he had just been standing, the body of the demonic Cloud Horse King had been turned into smithereens. One person stood in the middle, slightly raising his eyes, and looked at Zhu Yuan, who was flying in the air. Sudden attack. No one had expected that the audience was in an even greater mess. Who is this person? Is this person crazy? Does he know who Zhu Yuan is? He is the representative of the Seas sect. Ambushing him, aren't you looking to die? The current Zhu Yuan is not simple. The sect disciples all backed off quickly. They weren't afraid of the death of the 4 blood armor warriors from before, but now, the one in front was Zhu Yuan. They had no choice but to be scared. Zhu Yuan's methods were extremely cruel. Under normal circumstances, if he were to use it, not a single plant within a few kilometers would be able to survive. If he didn't leave now, he wouldn't be able to leave later. TSK. Floating in the air, Zhu Yuan laughed eccentrically. Long Fei, ha ha ha. I didn't expect to meet you here. Crash. With an explosive sound, the Blood Armor Group's warrior surrounded Long Fei. Long Fei did not even look at him, his eyes staring straight at Zhu Yuan. He thought to himself, the cultivation realm has already broken through Overlord realm. Seems like there is an awesome person in Seas Sec. Long Fei could faintly guess that there was an even stronger person backing Blood Monk. Now that Zhu Yuan had been brought away for merely half a month, he had broken through the Overlord realm, which showed that his methods were definitely not ordinary. All right then, I had originally wanted to trample you to death on the Gathering of Heroes, but now that you've delivered yourself to me, I'll send you to hell. Zhu Yuan's eyes turned sinister, and laughed sinisterly. Just like those group of defense presbyter, I guess you all have soul flying, ha ha ha. Long Fei's pupils secretly shrank. The surrounding blood armor warrior suddenly attacked. Long Fei still did not give them a glance as he moved his right arm, the divine way, the Ashura way. Boom. Boom. 6 forces, 2 fused. The martial saint weapon in his hand swept out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Took a step into the air, and with a heavy sound, he said, Zhu Yuan, give me your life. If it was someone else, Long Fei would perhaps endure it for a while. But he could not tolerate Zhu Yuan. All 18 defense presbyters died a miserable death just like that, and those scenes of their soul flying were unable to be erased from Long Fei's mind. Zhu Yuan did not die, but the hatred in his heart could not be quelled. Die. The 2 forces merged and slashed at Zhu Yuan, who was in the air. Azure Dragon Crescent Slash. Hualala. The Scarlet Blade Chi directly split the space into 2. Zhu Yuan's lips curled up. Long Fei, do you think I'm still the same as half a month ago? With your strength. Humph. Zhu Yuan did not move as he allowed the 2 Blade Chi's to strike at him. Boom. The Blade Chi was extremely strong, even the space was shattered. However, when it slashed at Zhu Yuan's body, it was as if all of its power had disappeared and it was completely unable to harm Zhu Yuan. Lan Mai thought, what power is this? Shenyuan Lia shook his head, it's not the power of the devils, the power in his body is very special, I can't feel it either, it's extremely strange. Susu said, I feel that he isn't human. He doesn't have any life force on him, nor is he a ghost, nor is he a demon. It seems to be a special entity, a monster. Helping Zhu Yuan a month ago would definitely be enough to instantly kill him. Even an ordinary early-stage Overlord powerhouse would not be able to withstand the fusion of the 6 forces. Not only was Zhu Yuan able to hold on, he couldn't even harm a single strand of his hair. Zhu Yuan laughed out wildly, ha ha ha. Trash, don't you see who your father is now? Can trash like you even hurt me? Long Fei, is it despair? Ha ha ha. Zhu Yuan laughed proudly, laughing wildly. When he saw Long Fei's expression, which showed that he had no solution, knitted his eyebrows, he was incomparably pleased. He originally had everything, but now he had nothing. Because of the person in front of him. Zhu Yuan's eyes became angry and his pupils shrank rapidly. Like a white bean, the aura on his body roiled through the sky and came crashing down heavily. Go to hell. Rumble. Rumble. Half the sky was splitting apart. Heavily crushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, let's see who dies then. Emperor of Underworld. He originally thought that the fusion of 2 of the 6 forces would be enough to kill Zhu Yuan, but he didn't expect that Zhu Yuan wasn't even injured. Long Fei did not like to hide it. He liked to shoot at mosquitoes with a nuclear bomb. You are strong. Then let's see who's stronger. The superforce of Ming Clan moved, instantly condensing into an Emperor of Underworld. The huge skull staff in his hands smashed down heavily towards Zhu Yuan's head. Despair. Despair. It doesn't exist. Once the Emperor of Underworld appeared, the curse runes on Long Fei's neck instantly lit up. Long Fei did not care. The vengeance for killing the defense presbyter must be avenged. The skeleton death staff smashed towards Zhu Yuan's head. Crack. The power around Zhu Yuan's body was directly crushed into powder. His body fell down from the sky and landed on the dock. Following the movement of Long Fei's idea, another explosive hammer strike struck down. Zhu Yuan was directly kneeling on the ground, the dark blood in his eyes was flowing, his entire body was trembling, and his eyes were staring at Long Fei as if he was eating a person. Ah! Ah! He roared crazily. Long Fei said indifferently, who would despair right now? Zhu Yuan was not as terrified as half a month ago. Instead, he laughed sinisterly. Long Fei, you can't kill me. No one in this world can kill me, ha ha ha. Do you think you won? You are about to die. In the entire Western regions, the entire universal realm will be stepped on by me. Ha ha ha. Zhu Yuan laughed crazily. It was as if he had gone insane. The current Seas sect was indeed very strong, but it was not strong enough to be the lord of Western regions, much less be the ruler of universal realm. I like it the most. You can't kill him, right? Then Laozi will kill one and see. Long Fei liked to slap faces. The Emperor of Underworld moved. The skeleton staff immediately ignited with underworld fire and smashed down with a heavy blow. Boom! Zhu Yuan's head almost fell to the ground from the hammer as his entire body trembled. His body was also ignited with underworld fire S, and the dark-colored underworld fire S instantly ignited his body. Incomparable pain. However, Zhu Yuan was still laughing crazily, and said, you can't kill me, ha ha ha. Long Fei, just you wait, the gathering of heroes will be your death date. Ha ha ha. His body slowly peeled and turned into charcoal. Let alone the primordial spirit, even if his soul were to come into contact with the underworld fire, it would probably burn him to death. The system beeped. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhu Yuan for obtaining 100 million experience, 100,000 true spiritual value, and 0 universal value. Apart from 100 million experience points, nothing else had dropped. Looking at the experience he had gained, Long Fei was extremely disdainful. You can't kill it? Are they dead yet? Acting tough with Laozi, acting cool. As he finished speaking till here, Long Fei's pupils tightened. Looking at the words universal value 0, his heart suddenly sank. Impossible. Anyone that Long Fei kills, as long as it's a person, they will definitely have universal value. But the Zhu Yuan just now did not have any universal value after his death. If he did not have universal value, it would mean that he was not human. Not human. Long Fei had some suspicions in his heart. Looking at the charred Zhu Yuan, he asked, what are a lot of people doing? Thinking about what Zhu Yuan had just said, Long Fei, you won't be able to kill me, I don't die, I definitely won't die, ha ha ha. Long Fei then thought of the blood monk who had resurrected after his death, and seemed to have understood why Zhu Yuan wasn't afraid in the slightest even when he died. F***CK. This world is getting more and more abnormal. Sure. If you have the guts, don't ever die. If you do, you'll become my experience bar. I'll kill you every time I see you. Long Fei said fiercely in his heart. With that thought, the Emperor of Underworld disappeared. The curse mark below his neck also slowly calmed down. At this time, a man with 2 swords stuck at his waist, dressed like a Tang clan warrior, walked over to where Zhu Yuan had died. He pinched a little piece of charcoal, put it on his nose and took a whiff, then said indifferently, no soul, no primordial spirit, just a shell. And then he looked at Long Fei and said, he is right, he is an undying body. No matter how you kill him, his body will be reconstituted and his power will be even stronger. While speaking, He walked in front of Long Fei and extended his hand out, saying, "Hello, my name is Tang Long." Judging from his attire, the 2 swords on his waist, the 4 blood armor warrior should have died in his hands. Long Fei reached out to take it, and said, "Long Fei." The moment he held Tang Long's hand, Long Fei felt a burst of power. The spiritual energy directly penetrated his body. This kind of spiritual energy was extremely special. If Long Fei did not have the physique of a star, and his mental strength was extremely strong, he simply would not be able to feel this kind of energy. He frantically searched through his body. It seemed to be the power of the demonic energy. Black and White suddenly shouted, "Demon Hunter! Old devil, I didn't expect that there would be a Demon Hunter legacy till now." The old demon naturally sensed it as well, and grinned, using the power of this kind of demon hunt to search for the magic. "What the hell, little child, then I'll let you know what is a demon." Rumble. With a roar, the spiritual energy Tang Long released was immediately devoured by the old demon. Tang Long was shocked and retreated quickly. In that instant, bang! 2 sword beams flashed, the strong sword Qi immediately enveloping Long Fei. It was also at this time. Boom! A thick and heavy dragon sword blocked in front of Long Fei, causing Tang Long's sword Qi to shatter instantly. The sword tip walked out and stood beside Long Fei to protect him, carefully staring at him. Tang Long looked at the sword tip, looked at the sword in his hand, then looked at Long Fei, and immediately revealed an apologetic look, and said, "Brother Long, I am truly sorry, I was reckless just now. I'm really sorry." He was in the subconscious body's natural reaction. Because the power from earlier was too strong, and it directly devoured him. He couldn't withstand it at all. Long Fei smiled faintly, "I'm fine." At the same time, he silently asked, "What are demon hunters?" Black and White said, "Demon hunters specialize in killing magic tribe. Old demons are the targets of their attacks, and the demon hunt squads are also an ancient race of the ancient world. They spend their lives fighting against demons. The Tang clan is very famous in the ancient world. That year, in order to resist the Wota space demons, the Tang clan also contributed greatly, and the powerhouse was almost completely wiped out. I thought that the clan was exterminated, but I didn't expect that there would actually be a demon hunt squad inheritance. I can sense it. The hands of demon hunters are very special." The old devil grinned. "If it weren't for the fact that the Tang clan did well in defending against the Wota space demons, I would have already engulfed him." In front of the master of magic tribe, all demon hunters were mere ants. Long Fei secretly shivered, and said, "So that's how it is?" Tang Long asked, "What do you mean by Brother Long's words?" Long Fei looked at Tang Long and said, "It's nothing much, you're just special." Tang Long said, "Just now, my strength. I'm sorry, that was innate. I couldn't control it myself, I'm really sorry." The old demon calmly replied, "A demon hunter has absolute control over the power of magic. Their blood vein were born with such skills." The power of the blood vein. The power of the blood vein. Naturally. Just like the repression of boundary stones, who is strong in Black and White? The old devil is arrogant, right? Even if a small stone were to completely suppress you, you wouldn't even dare to move an inch. This was absolute restraint. The blood flowing in Tang Long's body did the same to the demons. However, from his words, Long Fei felt that he didn't know that he was from the demon clan, and even more so didn't know that his ancestors were the super families of the ancient world, and that he was a meritorious general of the ancient world. Long Fei looked at Tang Long, and said, "You're also going to the Gathering of Heroes?" Tang Long nodded and said, "Go." Long Fei asked, "What sect are you from?" Tang Long laughed bitterly, and said, "No one is willing to take me in, even if my strength is not ordinary. It's because of the special power I have, I can't control it any longer, so it ran out to fight with me. All these years, I've been getting beaten up because of it. As long as your mind is possessed, the power within his blood vein will erupt." Moreover, at times like this, Tang Long was simply unable to control himself. Sometimes, it would come out in the middle of the night to kill someone, but he was completely oblivious to it. He thought he was dreaming, but the next day, a lot of people died. For this, He had no friends, no sect that would take him in. He wanted to test his luck by going to the Gathering of Heroes to see if he could join any big sect or if he could directly enter the Destiny sect. And then again. He didn't know why, but that power seemed to be guiding him and making him his Gathering of Heroes. Long Fei looked at Tang Long and said, "You are willing to join my sect?" Tang Long's eyes flashed with a bright light. He was about to nod his head and agree, but in the end, he shook his head and said, "No, I will hurt you. Even if I cannot harm you, I will still harm the people around you." Long Fei is not bad. At least he was the first person to shake hands with him and be kind. Long Fei replied, "Don't worry, I do not have a demonic cultivator by my side. Even if I do have one, you cannot handle it." Tang Long was stunned for a moment. Looking at Long Fei, he felt that Long Fei seemed to know everything about him. He was truly afraid of harming Long Fei. He had never had a friend in his life. Moreover, many people had died under his sword. For some unfathomable reason, he himself did not know what had happened. Long Fei happily agreed. Sure. Demon Hunter. The nemesis of demons. Blood Vein S had a strong restraining force. This Tang Long was simply a treasure. Completely picked up. This was a windfall. Lan Mai, Su Su, Shenyuan Li walked in front of Long Fei and smiled faintly at him. Tang Long looked at the three of them and was shocked. It was not because they were beautiful, but because he felt the auras from the three of them. He didn't have a single trace of demonic intent. Especially Shenyuan Li. It was as if he was a snow-white purple color, incomparably pure and holy. Long Fei said, "All right, from now on, everyone will be together." While they were talking, the blade of the sword had silently hidden itself. Master, I want more power. I need more power." Zhu Yuan's figure kneeled in front of a black figure and begged. On the other side, Blood Monk stood at the side coldly and said, "Master has already given you so much power, yet you can't even deal with a single Long Fei. What qualifications do you have to kneel here?" Zhu Yuan glared fiercely at the Blood Monk, and said, "Master, Long Fei is completely different from half a month ago. Give me another chance, I will definitely offer his soul to you." Hatred filled the sky. Zhu Yuan almost wanted to swallow Long Fei alive. The black figure slowly turned around, the blood and flesh on his face turning golden, his eyes also gold. He coldly glanced at Zhu Yuan, who was kneeling on the ground, and said, "I told you to activate the Devil Tribulation, so I can guarantee your success in transcending the Devil Tribulation." When the Blood Monk heard these three energies, his eyes sunk, revealing his jealousy and envy. "But if you don't capture that brat Long Fei for me again, I will imprison your primordial spirit in the Sea of Ghosts for eternity, making it suffer the pain of being invaded by 10,000 ghosts." Blood Monk trembled secretly. Zhu Yuan's eyes did not move at all. With a heavy sound, he replied, "All right. Next." The shadow waved his right hand and a demonic cloud appeared. Then, a small demonic tribulation space appeared. In that instant, Zhu Yuan's primordial spirit was sucked into the Devil Tribulation. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In Zhu Yuan's world, the Devil Tribulation was frantically bombarding his primordial spirit. At this moment, the black shadow continued to inject power into him. The power of the demonic path, the power of the divine, and the power of the ghost continuously revolved within the demonic tribulation. Blood Monk changed his gaze, his eyes filled with envy. The black shadow said coldly, "Do you know why I didn't give you these powers?" Blood Monk shivered and immediately said, "Master has master's arrangements." The black shadow replied, "It's not that. It's that you don't have the tenacity that he has. You're not crazy enough, and he's not afraid of death, so he can make his soul be sacrificed, but you can't do that. However, rest assured, I will give you another power after you settle the affairs of the Gathering of Heroes." Blood Monk immediately knelt down and said, "Thank you, Master." After a long time, the demonic cloud dispersed. Zhu Yuan's primordial spirit flashed with a dark red light as it flew out from the devil cloud. The shadow moved his left hand. Boom, boom. In less than half a minute, Zhu Yuan's body was reborn. "Ha ha ha. I'm alive again, my strength." My power. Zhu Yuan felt the immense power in his body, and heavily said, "Thank you, Master." At the same time, he released his primordial spirit. The primordial spirit flew onto the black figure's palm. The black figure smiled in satisfaction. "Your strength has now reached the Overlord's peak realm. No one below Jizuan realm is your match." After Zhu Yuan finished listening to his explanation, he kneeled down on the ground and said, "Thank you, Master." Blood Monk's face was filled with envy. But he could not walk Zhu Yuan's madness. Because Zhu Yuan could put the primordial spirit in the hands of the owner, but he couldn't. The Black Shadow said indifferently, "Right now, there are still 2 days until Gathering of Heroes. In Gathering of Heroes, you must kill all of those geniuses, all of those powerhouses, for me." "Yes, sir." Both of them nodded heavily. The Black Shadow thought to himself, "As long as I can acquire a few more powerful souls, I'll be able to break free from my bindings." At that time, Long family, the Tang family, annihilation, all of you must die. Ha ha ha. Just you wait. So big, so grand. So big, so grand. Western Regions' most powerhouse. As the ship passed through the Western Heaven Gate, everyone looked up at the 2 towering statues in the clouds. Each one of them had only one thought in their hearts: shock. The ship owner smiled faintly and said, "They are the Western Regions' guardians." The primordial 9 regions originally didn't have any Western regions. It was the 2 of them who beat them down. While they were talking, the ship owner clasped his hands, closed his eyes, and prayed. Every time he passed through West Heaven Gate, he would do so. He would seek peace for himself, seek peace for this ship. Only when he was safe would he be able to ensure his family's livelihood. In the world of martial arts, the number of people with mediocre talent was countless. They lived at the bottom level, just like the ordinary people on Earth. Many people began to follow the captain's example. Su Su also clasped his hands together, and muttered, "I hope that Big Brother Long Fei can live a peaceful life." Shenyuan Li also prayed silently in his heart, "I hope Big Brother Long Fei can be safe." Long Fei looked at each and every one of them, his heart secretly tightening. "I will become stronger, they will be the guardians of the Western Regions, I will become your guardian." He clenched his fists tightly. If he wanted to be safe, if he wanted to protect what he wanted to protect, then he had to be strong enough. Only by doing so could he become a guardian. The reason the 2 statues were able to defeat the Western Regions and become his guards was because they were strong enough. He fought his way out of Universal Realm. Just as everyone was silently praying, Tang Long's gaze moved slightly. The way he looked at things was completely different from others, and the things he saw were also different. Suddenly, his figure flashed and disappeared from the bow of the ship. Long Fei trembled slightly. The idea moved and said, "Sword Edge, follow him. If you want, it's best to protect him." The shadow moved, and the blade disappeared. Shua, shua, swish. Tang Long continuously jumped. It danced continuously on the idol. Suddenly, one of the men pointed at a statue and said, "Look, there's someone up there." Everyone looked over, and Long Fei's eyes tensed up. Why did he run up? Susu said, "Big Brother Long Fei, it's him." Long Fei nodded. He didn't know what Tang Long wanted to do, as he didn't really understand the Demon Hunt Squad, but judging from Tang Long's movement, he probably wanted to fly up to the head of the god statue. "What are you doing?" Long Fei was suspicious. The captain kneeled down and said, "This is disrespect to the idol, this is disrespect to the ancestors of the Western Regions. Come down. Hurry up and come down." Many of the boatmen kneeled on the ground, begging. As for those sect disciples, they watched Tang Long continuously fly up, and smiled with interest, as if this was a good show. Tang Long did not hear the captain's plea. He always did things his own way and never changed anything. Shua, shua. He jumped into the clouds and flew up to the top of the divine statue. Tang Long's eyes moved, he looked at the divine statue beneath his feet and muttered, "There's actually a devil intent hidden in my body. Kill." As soon as he finished, Tang Long took out his sword and directly stabbed into the idol. It was also at this time. Cracks appeared on the statue. When the captain saw the look of panic on his face, he turned pale with fright and kowtowed even harder. The ancestor is angry, the statue is angry. The boatmen all knelt down and kowtowed as well. The whole ship was moving too slowly. Long Fei's eyes became serious. He shouted out, "Stop bowing, quickly take the boat away, if not, your boat will not be able to hold on." Long Fei was extremely doubtful in his heart. What are we going to do in the end? The old demon muttered, "The Tang family can't even rub sand from their eyes. As long as they sense the devil, they will kill them. There is a demonic intent hidden within this divine statue." He sensed it. Long Fei was secretly shocked, and said, "Isn't this the ancestor of the western regions? How could there be a demon's will hidden within? Why do I feel divine might?" The old demon said, "The demon hunt squad are different from the ones we see. They have unparalleled perception of demon intents, so this idol might have cultivated magic before." Long Fei asked, "Demonic cultivator? How many years had it been?" He could still sense the devil intent. "This is..." Black and White suddenly said, "Boy, the people of the Tang clan are all lunatics, but they will never misperceive his presence. As long as he believes that he is a demon, then he is definitely a demon. Also, there is also a statue opposite you with a sword intent hidden inside. For the current you, it might be able to help you increase your strength quite a bit." Long Fei was also stunned. "Damn, you told me earlier." In that instant, Long Fei replied, "Wait for my return here." Sure. His figure disappeared. No matter what power it was, Long Fei would never let go of a power that could make him stronger. He desperately needed strength right now. How strong was that female from God's tribe who rode the elephant? Her appearance definitely wasn't as simple as choosing a disciple for the Sky sect of Ling clan. She definitely had other motives, and was most likely here for his sake. Long Fei had to be prepared. Then there was the current Seas sect. Zhu Yuan did not die, the Blood Monk did not die, and the existence of the Seas sect was the biggest threat to the Fatry sect. Would never let someone stronger go. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Continuously ejected out, Long Fei's figure wildly flew. However, other than him, there were a few others who were also flying upwards. The sword intent has matured. This is a sword intent that has been cultivated for tens of thousands of years. My master has long since made his last words, telling us to come pick it up when this sword intent matures. He will soon be the gathering of heroes. After obtaining this sword intent, he will massacre everyone in the gathering of heroes and enter it. He will then become the descendant of God's tribe, ha ha ha. The number one genius of the way of the sword in the western regions actually hid a shocking sword intent within the divine statue, ha ha ha. It's mine now. Spirit grass, spirit fruits had their time to endure, and similarly, there was this kind of sword intent. The statues were constructed to protect the western regions. They had fallen, and the statues had a trace of their true soul, which slowly evolved. The sword genius condensed a sword intent. In order to increase the power of the body, the statue on the other side also had a demonic intent. Whoosh. Long Fei landed on the summit of the idol. The other groups of people also rushed over. The Great Qing sect does things, if you don't want to die, then move to the side. The Great Qing sect is amazing. Long Fei grinned, I even have a big front door. Brat, do you want to die? Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, one of the hunchbacked old man on the other side said indifferently, a heaven and earth spirit treasure can be obtained by the capable, am I right? The hunchbacked old man looked at Long Fei with an eerie smile. Just as Long Fei was about to speak, the hunchbacked old man suddenly attacked at an extremely fast speed. The enormous aura around his body also crushed Long Fei in an instant, and a finger pointed towards Long Fei's temple. His fingers were like sharp claws, and his nails were 5 centimeters long. Their hardness was no less than steel, and if he were to jab them like this, his temple would be pierced. His fingers were like sharp claws, and his nails were 5 centimeters long. Their hardness was no less than steel, and if he were to jab them like this, his temple would be pierced. However, Long Fei's eyes darkened. He didn't move at all. The old man thought that Long Fei wouldn't be able to react in time. What cultivation did a little kid like him have? Revealing his yellow teeth, he laughed, ha ha ha. Several disciples of the Great Qing sect also laughed. Elder finger killing. With this finger, even if God's holy peakness powerhouse doesn't die, he would at least be severely injured. This kid doesn't even know how sinister elder finger killing is. Elder finger killing will specially do the matter of cutting off one's descendants. In their eyes, Long Fei was already a dead man. Bam! He pointed his finger. The elder finger killing laughed sinisterly, but his pupils suddenly shrank. His finger stopped half a centimeter away from Long Fei's temple. It was stuck there. That's not right. It was not that he was stuck, it was that he was blocked by an air shield and couldn't advance at all. Elder finger killing was astonished. Even my absolute finger steel can be punctured. There is no air shield that can block my fingers, this brat. With an evil look in his mind, he was about to use the second move. But at this moment, he discovered that his fingers couldn't be pulled out. He was greatly alarmed as he asked, "Boy, who are you?" Long Fei laughed coldly, and said, "I am your ancestor." His eyes widened. Boom. Crack. What use was it if the astral body could not even resist this little bit of power? Forget about fingernails, even if a normal divine weapon were to stab at Long Fei, his astral body would be able to block it. The nail was broken. Elder finger killing roared, "Brat, you dare." The fingernail was his weapon, a weapon that had cultivated for many years. Now that it was broken, it was equivalent to taking half of his life. With extreme anger, he moved his left hand and pierced towards Long Fei's throat with 5 fingers. However, without waiting for him to stab out, Long Fei grabbed his throat, his entire body was lifted up in the air, and then smashed heavily onto the ground. Boom. A loud explosion resounded. Elder finger killing's entire body was torn apart. After twitching for a few moments, he lost all signs of life. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Elder finger killing for obtaining 19,203 experience, 3920 true spiritual value, and 1 universal value. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Goldfinger. Heh. Long Fei was startled. Goldfinger? These 3 words were too familiar. Wasn't this something that should only appear in novels? Wasn't it the main character's halo? He opened the system to take a look. Long Fei looked at the glowing golden finger. Fuck, is it a finger made of gold? F***CK, what the hell, eh? Hold on. Looking at the attribute of the golden finger, Long Fei was inwardly shocked. It's actually, really the power of the golden finger. Item, golden finger grade, special level, special attributes. Possesses the ability to increase the strength of the player's golden finger. Note, consumption, unique character, players can choose any type of power that they want to evolve. Damn. He didn't know when to look, but when he saw who it was, he was shocked. It can evolve a golden finger. Long Fei was secretly happy. He took a glance at the elder finger killing and thought, seems like all kinds of strange people are benefits given by the system. Hey, you are from the Great Qing sect? The men from the Great Qing sect were still in a daze, looking at Long Fei and the others with a less arrogant expression. Instead, they looked at Long Fei fearfully, and asked, "What are you planning to do?" "Those who are able to obtain the soul treasure will know." Long Fei laughed. "Isn't that what Elder Finger Killing said just now? I just want to see if your Great Qing sect is a special group or not. Maybe a few bags of the front door can pop up for a smoke. Smoke? This is something that doesn't exist in this world, it must be pretty good." Finished. Long Fei stepped forward. The people from the Great Qing sect changed their expressions. It was also at this time. Rumble. The idol on the other side suddenly collapsed, causing a large piece of it to fall, heavily smashing into the water. Long Fei's eyes narrowed, he was extremely worried. It was also at this time. The disciples of the Great Qing sect suddenly moved, and rushed into the deity statue. Crack. Hualala. The statue on the other side was still constantly crumbling and could not be stopped at all. It wouldn't be long before the entire statue collapsed, and then the entire river would be clogged up. Long Fei tensed up. At this moment, The younger sister of the 3 Yimai sisters said with a sound transmission, "Night King, they are fine. Sister Lan Mai has protected the boat, they have already passed through the Western Heaven Gate." Who? Long Fei secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He had forgotten that Lan Mai was a descendant of Holy General and had a vein of blue water. Then, Long Fei looked at the statue. Boom! A streak of swordlight shot out. Roar! An ear-piercing roar. Scarlet flames billowed out, the entire statue seemed to have been burnt red. Ah! Ah! Several disciples of the great Qing sect rushed out from the deity statue, one after another, and shouted loudly. Not waiting for them to fly far away, a huge suction force heavily sucked them all into the deity statue. Ah! After a miserable scream, there was no other sound. Long Fei thought, looks like there's still some powerful guardian beasts inside. That's true. All spiritual treasures will have a guardian beast appear. The stronger the sword intent in this statue, the stronger the guardian beast will be. The best one is a boss. The corner of Long Fei's mouth rose, and directly dropped down. Rumble. The moment he rushed into the deity statue, Long Fei thought that he had fallen into a furnace and was feeling incomparable heat. This heat was completely different from the sun's heat. This kind of heat seemed to be able to vaporize you, and even his sea of consciousness seemed to be on the verge of boiling. The heat was unbearable. Long Fei was secretly delighted. This means that the bosses below are strong enough. His body sank and heavily crashed into the ground. Suddenly, on the crimson ground, a pair of glowing red eyes glared fiercely. Roar! Long Fei roared like thunder as a huge wave of heat swept up. Long Fei's body was just about to be blown away by the heat wave, which was also the reason why those disciples of the great Qing sect were sent flying just now. However, Long Fei's body sank. His power surged, but he wasn't sent flying. The monster became even more furious and roared a few times, but it didn't charge towards Long Fei. This made Long Fei feel very surprised. However, Long Fei immediately understood when he saw the golden sword intent beside the fire-red beast. The sword intent is about to mature. Does this beast want to devour it? Damn. Anything that I see is mine. With a move of the martial saint artifact, Long Fei dove down and looked at the monster with one slash. Sensing the explosive chi from Long Fei's body, the monster also stood up abruptly. It was extremely huge. Long Fei exclaimed, "Fire unicorn!" The Qilin was a divine beast. The Qilin was a divine beast. In his previous life, no one had ever seen the legendary auspicious beasts. However, in this world, it was different. Since the dragon had seen it before, so what if it was a Qilin? So what if it was a fire unicorn? Long Fei was naturally not too shocked. After all, there was everything in this world, and Long Fei had already gotten used to all kinds of demons and ghosts. The fire unicorn in front of him was very different. His body emanated with divine might. It was just that it was very weak. At that time, he thought that the two statues were losing their divine powers with the passage of time, but from the looks of it, that was not the case now, but the divine powers from the two statues were being devoured by this guy. Only by devouring it would his body emit a divine aura. Mighty fire unicorn? Long Fei frowned. The fire unicorn let out a heavy cry, and said, "You actually know about this, why aren't you scram?" Long Fei was stunned again. "Damn, you can still talk?" The fire unicorn stared at Long Fei with its red eyes and said, "Foolish human, a human like you is not enough for me to fill my teeth. Get the hell out of here now, you can still live." It was full of disdain and contempt. In the eyes of the fire unicorn, humans were too weak. Long Fei sized up the fire unicorn and said, "Can you ride?" Long Fei had always thought that riding dragons was too troublesome. Moreover, the green dragon was too huge. When this guy rode out, it immediately attracted the admiration of tens of thousands of people. Long Fei wanted to keep a low profile. The fire unicorn knew what Long Fei was thinking about and it suddenly shook its body. The flame scales on its body exploded and its body doubled in size. Boom! He flicked his body. He directly pounced towards Long Fei. Moreover, The crushing power of the divine might came crashing over. Long Fei did not dare to be careless. Let me first test one of your blades. Azure Dragon Crescent Slash. Rumble. The blade chi expanded, and then cut down, but it was different. The figure of the fire unicorn disappeared into thin air, its entire body completely gone. Illusory Kylin. It even has an illusion technique. Multi-attribute. Long Fei was not disappointed by the sudden disappearance of the fire unicorn. On the contrary, he was even more excited. It's you. Long Fei would never let it go. Die. Roar. The fire unicorn suddenly rushed out from behind Long Fei, opened its mouth wide and directly swallowed Long Fei inside. If it was swallowed, Long Fei would definitely not be able to live. Long Fei moved, snapshot step. Shua. He immediately flew out and landed on the other side, and said, "Fire unicorn, become my mount, and follow me." "How about it?" "You are not qualified." The fire unicorn roared, and then disappeared again. "Qualification? What qualifications do I need?" Long Fei swept his gaze across them. He could not feel the aura of the fire unicorn, but his body naturally reacted in that instant. Bam! With a leap, he flew a dozen meters into the air. The fire unicorn bit onto the spot Long Fei just now. Seeing that, Long Fei directly sat down on the fire unicorn's back. The fire unicorn's body suddenly started to churn. Long Fei firmly grabbed onto it and did not let go, and said, "Ha ha ha. This mount is not bad, it suits me perfectly." The fire unicorn was enraged. The thing he hated the most in his life was being used as a mount. He swore that he would never be a mount for a human. It churned crazily, but Long Fei kept grabbing tightly, he could not get rid of it. The fire unicorn said solemnly, "You like sitting on my back, right? Then I'll let you sit down." The flames on the fire unicorn's body suddenly changed. Like a high-powered gun, the flames crazily shot out, "Burn you to death. Let's see if you can still sit." 1023, 3044, 5009. The damage above Long Fei's head continued to float. Its damage was not high, but it was constantly increasing. "The damage isn't bad. But, you only have this little bit of power." Long Fei said in disdain, "This kind of flame basically can't burn me. Can it be a little stronger?" The spring of life circulated and released a bit of power before Long Fei's health point filled up. He was just like an NPC, and no matter how strong your attack power was, it could instantly recover full HP. This kind of injury did not harm Long Fei at all. "It's so warm and comfortable." Long Fei had a satisfied expression. The fire unicorn was even more furious. It was furious beyond control, and once it started to fight crazily, Long Fei did not let go. The fire unicorn's power was far more than just this. He was incomparably anxious right now, not because of Long Fei, but because of that golden sword intent. He had guarded it for tens of thousands of years, so he did not want to fail at this moment. Long Fei seemed to have also noticed the fire unicorn's worry, and said slightly, "As long as you are willing to be my mount, I don't want this sword intent, I'll give it to you directly." "How is it? There are so many people who are begging me to follow them, yet I am unable to." "I'll give you a chance now." The fire unicorn roared, "I don't want to be with you." Long Fei said, "Fire unicorn, don't even think about giving me face, I haven't even made a move yet. If I had, I'm afraid that you would have turned into a dead Chileen right now." The fire unicorn was not afraid in the slightest as it said, "Come." "Afraid of you?" Long Fei shouted, "Damn, if I don't show you my power, do you think I'm a little kitten?" The power of the stars on Long Fei's body stirred. His right arm moved. The big Master Guard arm quickly condensed and combined. Suddenly, the golden sword intent suddenly burst out with a dazzling sword aura. Seeing that, the fire unicorn's pupils tightened. He moved his four limbs and the fiery cloud beneath his feet. The fire unicorn charged straight at the sword intent. Long Fei's eyes narrowed, and said, "What are you trying to do? Stop. Stop. You will die. This sword intent is too strong, you can't absorb it at all. You'll only be devoured by it, you." Long Fei had also been sensing the sword intent. Very strong. To be able to attract the attention of the black and white sword intent, its strength could be imagined. The fire unicorn were very strong, but it was still not enough in front of the sword intent. If he was given some time, they might get swallowed bit by him. The fire unicorn did not care what Long Fei said. As long as he absorbed this sword intent, he would be able to increase his strength by another step, and he would be able to eat Long Fei. Cowardly human! Ha ha ha! The fire unicorn laughed as it charged towards the sword intent without slowing down. He was not confident either, but he would not be afraid in front of humans. He knew that Long Fei was afraid. He would definitely escape the moment it rushed into the sword intent. Humans were afraid of death. The fire unicorn despised Long Fei in her heart. However, he didn't understand Long Fei, and completely didn't know that Long Fei was someone who wasn't afraid of death. Buzz! With an explosive sound, sword light filled the entire sky. The fire unicorn rushed in, but Long Fei did not run away. In his heart, he was secretly shocked, but in that instant, it felt as if its entire body was being crushed by 10,000 sword intents. It was also at this time. Long Fei moved his right arm. The power of the big Master Guard arm suddenly increased. Boom! Break through the shackles. The fire unicorn rushed into the world of sword intent with Long Fei. The spiritual treasures that were born from the heaven and earth all had their own spiritual senses. The spiritual treasures that were born from the heaven and earth all had their own spiritual senses. His consciousness was also in the idea world. Just now, when the fire unicorn was howling and was being swallowed by the sword intent from the idea world, it brought Long Fei in. Buzz! 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 The ear-piercing sound of a sword, as well as the floating sword in his mind, made him feel extremely uncomfortable. The entire world was filled with swords, but not a single sword could be seen. However, this was the truly dangerous part. There was no sword, and only 10,000 swords. Long Fei secretly thought, what a high sword intent. No wonder the black and white trials had such great power. Roar! Roar! The fire unicorn was still roaring non-stop. It was furious, as if it did not know the dangers of the sword intent world. As he roared, it seemed as if he had awakened some sort of power within the world of sword intent. The sword chimes carried a trembling sound, as if a sword was trembling. Long Fei immediately shouted, "Calm down." The fire unicorn did not give Long Fei any face at all, and continued to struggle, roaring. "Who the hell do you think you are, and what qualifications do you have to order me? I'll do whatever I want." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei's right arm moved, and the 3 demons from the big Master Guard arm erupted with power, their fists striking the head of the fire unicorn. Bam! The fire unicorn's head instantly swelled up. Long Fei asked, "Can you calm down a little now?" His right hand clenched into a fist. As long as the fire unicorn dared to roar, Long Fei would not hesitate to punch it again. This punch was very painful. Looking at Long Fei's fist that was floating above his head, he harumphed a few times, and said openly, "You dare hit me, I won't let you go, but now I will stop for a moment." She was afraid Long Fei would punch her again. Moreover, when he had rushed into the sword intent world earlier, if not for the streams of sword light from Long Fei's sleigh, he probably would have died. He had guarded this sword intent for 10,000 years, so he knew how strong this sword intent was. The sword intent had absorbed most of the divine power from the deity statue. Not only that, the sword intent had also been left behind by this deity statue. It was like the power passed down to the owner of this statue. It was once the inheritance of the most powerful powerhouse in the past. That's more like it. Long Fei kept his fist and looked around him. There was a halo of light, and he could not see anything, only the sword cries and the various sword intents. The fire unicorn snorted and thought, "I won't bother you all that much. I'll eat you all up after I get out. Red braised meat, fried oil, steam steamer, and so on. Buzz, buzz." The sword cries became more and more ear-piercing. Long Fei felt as if all parts of his body was being pointed at by swords, as though 100,000 swords were floating around him, just a few centimeters away from his body. With a slight movement, his body would be pierced like a sieve. Long Fei did not dare move as he replied, "You have guarded this sword intent for tens of thousands of years, so you should be familiar with it. What weakness does he have?" The fire unicorn said unhappily, "I don't know." Long Fei asked, "Then do you know how he was formed?" The fire unicorn continued to reply, "I don't know." Long Fei was a little displeased. He moved his right fist and was about to hammer down when he suddenly smiled and said, "How about this? If I can subdue this sword intent, how about you be my mount?" The fire unicorn disdained, and said, "You?" And he still wanted to subdue this sword intent. "TSK. You do not have that ability, much less the qualifications." They were completely looking down on Long Fei. He understood this sword intent too well. This sword intent only belonged to the owner of this sculpture. Other people would find it difficult to subdue it, much less in this world of sword intent. Long Fei said, "Stop talking nonsense, just tell me if you dare to bet or not." The fire unicorn's temper was explosive. Being agitated by Long Fei, she immediately said, "Gamble then, why should I be afraid of you? If you can subdue this sword intent, then I'll be your mount, but what if you can't?" Long Fei immediately said, "Deal with him as you wish." The fire unicorn said, "You said it yourself. When the time comes, I will braise your meat, stir-fry, fry, steam, and even heat up the hot pot." Long Fei was a little stupefied, and said, "Aren't you being a little too ruthless?" The fire unicorn said, "Don't say it, do you dare?" Long Fei replied, "How dare you?" The fire unicorn said, "Then let's begin your performance. I would like to see how you subdue this sword intent." Chinji. The fire unicorn looked like it was watching a show with its arms crossed. Long Fei jumped down from the fire unicorn's back. There was no need to worry about the fire unicorn escaping. Long Fei walked carefully, step by step, while the idea's sea of consciousness kept on sensing. Suddenly, Long Fei sat cross-legged. Boom. The fire unicorn laughed. "Meditate, comprehend? Even if you meditate for 10,000 years, it still won't work." At this moment, the star spirit energy on Long Fei's body was suddenly released, crazily surging and filling this small world of sword intent. What a dense power of true spirit. Isn't it too dense? His body couldn't help but madly absorb the power of true spirit that Long Fei released, completely unable to control the absorption process. The fire unicorn looked at Long Fei and muttered, could it be that he released the power from his body? This human. Long Fei had not released the power of true spirit for cultivation, nor did he do it to let the fire unicorn see his abilities. Instead, it was to make this world of sword intent into his world. His true soul surged out, and wherever it went, it was within the range of his senses. The sword intent world was very small. Long Fei only used half a minute to fill up the entire place, and at the same time, his sensing ability had increased 100-fold. Boom. His true soul jolted. Other than the fire unicorness, who could not help but absorb the power of true spirit, Long Fei felt an incomparably enormous aura. Although it was extremely careful, it was still unable to escape Long Fei's true inspiration. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes suddenly opened. Buzz. That force seemed to have sensed Long Fei and immediately moved, landing behind the fire unicorn. Long Fei faintly smiled at the fire unicorn, and said, "Stop hiding, I've already locked onto you." The fire unicorn muttered, "Do I need to hide?" Looking at Long Fei's gaze, the fire unicorn subconsciously moved a little. That power was very mischievous as well. Long Fei stared at him, still trying to hide. The fire unicorn raged, "Did I hide? I've been here the whole time, did I hide?" The fire had started. However, what was even more infuriating was that Long Fei had completely ignored him. The fire unicorn became even more furious. Long Fei said lightly, "Let's talk outside." The fire unicorn said angrily, "What are you talking about? I have nothing to talk about with you." Long Fei said, "If you don't come out now, I will make my move. If I do, you will not have a good ending." Hearing that, the fire unicorn was enraged. He had never been provoked like this before. He had never been provoked like this before. He had never been provoked like this by a human before. He was about to lose his temper. Smoke rose from the top of the fire unicorn's head, its blood-red eyes widened, staring straight at Long Fei, saying, "When you attacked, you did not have a good ending. If I attack, you will also suffer the same fate. Try it, try it." He was infuriated. If not for the fact that Long Fei saved him, he would have already pounced on him. Long Fei completely ignored him, and said, "You really want me to take action?" The fire unicorn said, "Are you not moving? If you don't attack, I'll attack." Suddenly, Long Fei flipped his right hand, Wang, the divine path. A ball of golden light suddenly appeared in his palm. The fire unicorn secretly shivered. Divine power? F***CK. You think I'm afraid of you because of God power? You have divine power, and I have divine power. The aura on the fire unicorn's body abruptly changed as the scarlet scales of flame on its body surged wave after wave. Mighty. Boom. Both of them surged with power, their eyes stared straight at Long Fei, and said, "Come." Long Fei slightly said, "Still not coming out?" The fire unicorn was extremely anxious. "I have been here the entire time." Boom. Long Fei moved his left hand, a surer way. Another wave of energy was released. The fire unicorn's heart sank again. Seeing the second divine power in Long Fei's hand, he clenched his teeth tightly, as a rumbling sound echoed from within his body. "You have the second power, and so do I, Yang Wei." Boom. As the flames burned, the surrounding space seemed as though it was about to be incinerated. Long Fei muttered, "Seems like you aren't afraid of these two powers." The fire unicorn replied, "I've never been afraid of anyone before." Long Fei retracted both of his powers. The fire unicorn also stopped for a moment, its body could not take it anymore, and coughed a few times before forcing itself to calm down. It stared at Long Fei without moving, and just when he wanted to ask. Long Fei released yet another wave of power, Bastard Dao. This time, hearing the two words animal, the fire unicorn went berserk. With a heavy roar, it pounced towards Long Fei without caring about anything else. "You are the bastard. I am the divine beast. Divine beast, do you understand?" Rumble. Flames howled. Also at that moment, the sword intent flew over with the fire unicorn. However, its target was not Long Fei, but the fire unicorn that had just released its divine might. The sword intent absorbed the divine might from the sculpture, and so did the fire unicorn. Sensing the divine might from the fire unicorn, the sword intent immediately wanted to devour the fire unicorn. "It's finally moving, isn't it?" The corners of Long Fei's mouth slightly hooked up. The fire unicorn thought that Long Fei was mocking him, and it was even burning with anger. Ah! A thunderous roar. Boom, boom, boom. The sword intent space continued to explode. The incomparably strong sword intent began to move without restraint. Long Fei's forehead tightened, and the power of true spirit that was released from his body was abruptly controlled. "Set for me." A surge of power surged out. The power of true spirit suddenly froze. The sword intent inside the power of true spirit froze instantly, but this period of time was extremely short. Unable to control his body for long, Long Fei's body sprung out and flew out. The Great Master on his right arm released his power, and directly grabbed towards the head of the fire unicorn. The fire unicorn thought that Long Fei was going to attack him. "Mighty, I won't let you hammer me again." Roar. With a roar, it opened its mouth and immediately swallowed Long Fei. However, suddenly, the fire unicorn's body suddenly disappeared. Illusion techniques. Long Fei's big Master Guard arm suddenly grabbed, and heavily grabbed onto a mass of energy, smashing it onto the ground fiercely. Rumble. Rumble. He hit the ground. Hualala. Hualala. Once the true soul had been frozen, it fell to the ground with a crashing sound, as if countless swords had shattered. The fire unicorn once again appeared beside Long Fei and asked, "Have you caught it yet?" Long Fei's arm firmly pressed onto the ground, and he faintly smiled. "Not bad." The fire unicorn said, "Of course, I have trained my acting skills before." "Ha ha." The two of them were singing together in order to distract the sword intent and let it make its move. If it kept dodging in this world of sword intents, then Long Fei wouldn't be able to catch it at all. Long Fei said heavily, I give you two options right now. Either submit to me, or I will destroy your soul. The fire unicorn slightly trembled. But, right at this moment, Long Fei's right arm suddenly felt an incomparable amount of pain, and the palm of his hand directly split open. Rumble. With an explosive sound, Long Fei was sent flying. The vital energy and blood below his chest were boiling as he spat out a mouthful of blood. The sword intent rebounded. With such a strong power, Long Fei was simply unable to suppress it. Not only that, the power directly injured him. Boom. Buzz buzz buzz. The ear-piercing buzzing sounds gathered together in a frenzy. Finally, it combined to form a sword with illusory images. Two words were vaguely carved onto the blade of the sword. Divine might. It was sword intent. Even more so, it was the sword soul. Suddenly, the spring of life said, Boss, this is a sword spirit, it can be used to create Sword of War Goddess. Reshaping the Sword of War God. This is Long Fei's SS level mission. After being reminded by the spring of life, Long Fei immediately asked about this mission. Since that's the case, we can't let him off either. But this sword intent was too strong, making it difficult to subdue it. There was no way he could suppress them with his own strength. This proved it just now. The fire unicorn slightly said, Nah, he has already gone berserk, I can't do it now, it's up to you. My bet with you is still valid, if you can subdue him, I'm willing to be your mount. If you can't subdue it, then none of us can afford it. Obviously. The fire unicorn could feel the power released from the void shadow sword, it was powerful to the point that it made him afraid. Rumble. Rumble. If that sword hum from before was still buzzing, then it had already reached the level of a thunderclap. From this, it could be seen that he was angry. You're still angry? I'm even more angry. Long Fei let out a heavy sound as his brain spun. It's just a strand of sword intent, what kind of power do I have to crush it? Suddenly, Long Fei thought back to what the Spring of Life had just said, can I use it to recreate Sword of War God? Forging a sword? Right. Refine. I should be able to merge the sword intent into the sword. This should be the power that can crush it, right? But this is a sword intent, if I want to merge him into the sword body, I am afraid the refining fire is not enough, even the god's design Attic's 7-colored fire is not enough. What should we do? Is there any higher level flame than the refining fire? Underworld fire? I don't think I can refine weapons, and I don't have the materials right now. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed as he looked at the fire unicorn excitedly. Do you want to die? The fire unicorn looked at Long Fei in a daze, and confirmed that Long Fei was not joking, nor wanted him to continue acting. He instantly became angry, and said, You're the one who wants to die, I am still alive and well, if not for you guys suddenly barging in, I would have ended up like this. The fire unicorn looked at Long Fei in a daze, and confirmed that Long Fei was not joking, nor wanted him to continue acting. He instantly became angry, and said, You're the one who wants to die, I am still alive and well, if not for you guys suddenly barging in, I would have ended up like this. You want to die? Who would want to die? I've lived for tens of thousands of years, and I've been waiting here by myself. I have 100 million thoughts, but none of them are thoughts of death. I really don't want to die. What should we do? Are we going to die? In the end, the fire unicorn's tears flowed out like lava. Long Fei said, If you don't want to die, then listen to me. Fire unicorn said, Tell me, I will listen to whatever you say, as long as you don't let me die. The phantom sword became stronger and stronger. Moreover, when the illusions began to condense, the world of sword intent began to shrink. The space became smaller and smaller, and it would not be long before the space would disappear. Long Fei and Fire Unicorn in the spatial space would be crushed into pieces by the spatial laws. Long Fei said, I need your Chilean scale. The Fire Unicorn was stunned, then said, I'll give it to you. Immediately. Several scales flew out from the fire unicorn's body, carrying the blood of the Qilin. This was tantamount to having him slice his own flesh. It was extremely painful. Long Fei's heart tightened. He did not say too much. The Qilin scales fell into his hands, and the idea moved. Ancient alchemy. Rainbow flame. 7 colored flames flew out from the god's design token. He was a little not used to ancient alchemy, but the grade of the rainbow flame was still too low. Long Fei quickly refined it. The power of the ancient alchemy combined with the star power of true spirit that crazily surged out of Long Fei's body to melt the Qilin's scales, and what the scales melted into was also a scarlet-red liquid. It was shining with a divine light. Looking at its own scales turn liquid, the fire unicorn was in extreme pain. My scales. Boom. Boom. Long Fei immediately entered the phantom sword. Boom. The idea was instantly sent flying. Long Fei's sea of consciousness surged, his mind became sinister. Your sister, I do not believe it. Boom. The idea moved again, and the azure dragon sacred ancient roared, pouring his power into it. Roar. Space shook. The fire unicorn was stunned and said in astonishment, Dragon's roar? There's a dragon. Was that a dragon roar just now? The fire unicorn said in shock, Dragon's cry. What the heck, is it that powerful? I remember seeing Phoenix cry an hour later, but I haven't seen him yet. But I wonder how that big sister Phoenix is doing now. The fire unicorn muttered. With the infusion of the azure dragon's power, Long Fei's idea instantly charged into the illusionary sword image. It was also at this time that Long Fei's idea was penetrated by the 10,000 swords. The idea was almost killed. The feeling that she gave Long Fei had already died once. The kind of severe injury brought about by the spirit power was indescribable. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to withstand it, but Long Fei was different. He had died countless times. Right now, no matter how painful the death was, Long Fei was fearless and fearless. His heart was already fearless. Come. The Qilin liquid moved, and immediately wrapped around the phantom shadow sword. Long Fei used the idea as a hammer and struck down heavily. You are strong? Let's see how strong you are. The fire unicorn was confused. Damn, how can I do that? Is he planning on directly refining this sword intent into a sword? Awesome. At first, he did not understand what Long Fei was trying to do, but now, he understood. He felt a little admiration in his heart. However, to refine such a powerful sword intent into a sword and fusing it with the sword body was extremely difficult. Long Fei's 7-colored refining fire had already turned into a tiny drop of flame that was about to be extinguished. It could not withstand the impact of such a powerful sword intent. Long Fei shouted, Qilin, Yang Wei. Huh! The fire unicorn was stunned for a moment. Seeing the tight space between Long Fei's brows, and seeing the phantom shadow sword frantically struggling, it seemed like it was about to break free. Roar. The fire unicorn roared, and the fire core in its body moved. Boom. Yang Wei. As the flames changed, the fire unicorn also instantly pounced towards the phantom shadow sword, directly replacing the refining fire. As Long Fei controlled the idea, he constantly wrapped himself around the phantom shadow sword. Long Fei's idea hammers were frantically being tempered. Boom. 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 The explosive blows of one hammer and one hammer, the ancient alchemy also completely exploded outwards. As long as the void illusionary sword wanted to break free, it would strike down with the hammer. 1 strike, 2 strikes. 100 strikes, 1,000 strikes, 10,000 strikes. After 5 whole hours, Long Fei had not stopped for even half a second to madly temper it. The flames of the fire unicorn were also desperately exploding. He was panting heavily, but if Long Fei did not tell him to stop, he would not stop, because he knew that if he were to escape from the illusionary sword, the result would be their death. Another few hours passed. The fire unicorn could not take it anymore and said, I can't hold on much longer. How much longer? Long Fei said, if you can't hold on, then you should leave. The fire unicorn said, what do you mean you can't hold on? I can still carry it. If Long Fei can persevere on, then he cannot be left behind. The flame power was released once more. Long Fei knew that the fire unicorn was almost at its end. If this continued, his fire pellet would probably shatter. This sword intent was much stronger than he had imagined. If he did not have the flame power of the fire unicorn, Long Fei would definitely not be able to persevere either. Boom! Long Fei said solemnly, "We cannot destroy the fire unicorn." In that instant, with a slight movement of the teacher's body, among the 10 types of creation power that the system compensated, Long Fei chose one of the good fortune of fire skills, and the center of his brows sunk. Come! The power of creation erupted forth. Boom! A loud voice instantly wrapped around the phantom shadow sword. Long Fei shouted, "Fire unicorn, retreat." The fire unicorn also felt that Long Fei had suddenly erupted with a powerful force. With the immense power of fire and creation, its body flew out. Creation of fire crazily crushed the phantom shadow sword. Long Fei continued to temper them non-stop. Rumble. A violent explosion resounded. The world of sword intent exploded, and the surroundings returned to silence. Destiny sect. At the peak of a mountain, Qingyi suddenly opened her eyes as a bright light flashed in her eyes. Power of creation, it's here again. Seems like the western regions is much stronger than I expected. The power of creation, let's see just what you can create. Qingyi didn't move because she didn't need to. All the other young talents would come and find her. Gathering of heroes. The flames on the body of the fire unicorn dimmed and said weakly, "What situation is it? Are we dead or alive? And that sword intent? Why can't I feel it anymore?" At this time, the corner of Long Fei's mouth suddenly curled up as he laughed excitedly. Because of the system's notification sound. Ding! You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.